You are now entering the world of Jack Gravely, a talk show you can participate in, believe in, and a host you can disagree with. So sit back and listen to the edgy, entertaining, and educational Grand Central station of talk radio in beautiful downtown Richmond, Virginia. The Jack Gravely Show begins right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, he won. What can you say? All I can say this morning is, let me tell you, Joe Marcy taught the Democrats something last night. Hey, I know what I said. I know where I stood. I don't take anything back. All I have to say this morning is he won. Now, whether you like it, whether Jack Gravely likes it, whether Billy likes it, whether Ryan likes it, whether the AGM likes it, whether the mayor likes it, I don't care. He won. And we're going to talk about that this morning on the show. By the way, I have to give a shout out to my producers here, especially Ryan and Billy. We were on Fox News. They have our interview all over the place. And, you know, I'm very thankful, the poor country boy here, and somebody in national news talking about me and my show. You know, we're grateful. We're appreciative. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some other issues. Billy, what you got for me this morning, man?
Well, I had this suspicion that Morrissey was going to win. The closer we got, just the feeling, the vibe that was going on. Yep. The cops raiding his office the day before did a lot to help. Yeah. And then I get to the poll yesterday. He's the only candidate with a sign at the poll. And when you get up, you know how they have the campaign workers out there and passing out the information about candidates?
Yeah.
Morrissey is the only guy with people. My wife had to go to several schools yesterday. She saw the same thing. Only one with the sign. Only one with people. So you can say anything you want about the man, but the other two, they didn't run for office.
Yeah. Let me tell you. He had a ground game, and I know one of the top political guys in town, in the state. And that top political guy said to me he was going to be hard to beat. And let me tell you, he won it last night. And let me make it very, very clear. Jack Gravely took a position against Joe Marcy. I stand by it, okay? It's not like me coming in here this morning. I'm not jumping anywhere. I am where I am. I stood on it 2 Fridays ago. I stand on it today. But I got to say, what the facts came out to, he won. Now, we're going to see what happens. Now, in the winning, I can also say it ain't over. It ain't over.
I finally did hear from Walton, the Republican candidate.
Yes.
I got a robocall saying to vote for him. It was important, blah, blah, blah. Yesterday, 4 hours after I had been to vote.
Well, look here. I'm still waiting for a call from Walton. I called his office twice, either Sunday or Monday, and I never got a reply back. And I can tell you, if you are running a campaign and you're running for office, having an answering service is not good politics as far as I'm concerned. Jack Gravely Show. Hey, callers are already lined up. Callers, you're going to have to wait. I got to lay out some stuff. I'm just not going into calls right off the top here this morning. We're going to talk about Billy.
One quick question for you. Did you see the interview he did immediately, like about 11 o'clock last night on Channel 6?
No, I did not.
They did the jailhouse interview asking him about the election and everything.
Oh, he was in jail.
He was sitting there. He was, it's a great campaign poster, I'm telling you.
Let me tell you.
And
how can you beat that? I'm in jail, and they interviewing me.
And he's pulling the same thing every other politician does. Where the people have spoken. This is what they want.
Yep.
And because, again, he left his seat. He left his party. Ran a campaign from jail, and now
won.
And the Speaker of the House and the leaders of the Democratic Party say they're trying to figure out a way to bar him.
Hey, look.
You need to let that go.
Hey, look.
He won.
If Joe or any of his people listening to the Jack Gravely Show this morning, take my advice. Joe, just accept it. Pack your bags and go home. You can't top this, brother. You can't top this. I don't care what you do, man. You can't top this. I mean, you in jail. You signed a plea agreement. Everybody's throwing rocks, including Jack Gravely, at you. You locked up in jail, and the people go out and vote for you.
So who's going to play him in the TV movie?
I don't know. Let me tell you.
Who's going to play you in the TV movie, Joe?
I don't know. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about the Joe Marcy thing. And there was an accident in Washington, D.C. yesterday. I know I'm coming from a big issue to a issue that maybe you're not interested in this morning. L'Enfant Plaza was my stop in Washington, D.C. every day I rode the train to work for 14 years. And that is where they had the fire and the accident. I could walk through L'Enfant Plaza blindfolded right now and catch the train. That was my stop. That's the first stop out of Virginia on the Orange Line. First stop out of Virginia. And let me tell you, we're going to talk about that train fire up in Washington. We're going to talk about the next 45 days in the Virginia General Assembly. Don't go anywhere, Billy. We're going to talk about ethics. We're going to talk about the budget. We're going to talk about the redistricting plan. And we're going to talk about Joe Marcy. We're going to talk about the roads and the weather. Hey, the first place I slid this morning, Billy, was when I hit the streets of Richmond. I-95 coming up from Petersburg, clear. I was rolling 50 miles an hour, 45, 50, 55 miles an hour, and people were passing me. So the roads, I-95 from Petersburg up to Richmond, Virginia, on a scale of 10, 10 being the best, the roads are 7-8. The roads are 7-8, in my opinion. You know, you talking to a Southwest Virginia, West Virginia boy that grew up on roads like this. We're going to talk about France and the Prophet. We're going to talk about the new edition of the paper that's come out, the Charlie paper in Washington. We're going to talk about censorship and the West. Those are some of the issues, but I know what you all want to talk about here this morning. You're listening to the Jack Gravely Show. It's a Wednesday morning. It is the 14th of January. I said yesterday on this show, I would not be surprised as what would happen in the election. I had a gut feeling the closer it got to election that Joe Marcy was going to win this thing. And like I said, I'm not taking back. I'm not retreating. I'm not apologizing for anything I said about him and all like that. But let me tell you, I don't think any politician can, you in jail. Come on, man. And they vote for you. Hey, let's take a first call here. No, Billy, before we get started.
Yeah.
You were telling me about a poll you went to and your wife went to yesterday. And Joe Marcy's stuff was all out there. His people's out there. You didn't see anyone else.
There was nobody else. I mean, there were two people there with coffee, and they were both there together for Joe Morrissey.
Okay.
My wife said there was one person for Morrissey, one in the school she went. There was another group of two at a different one, and then some didn't have anybody. But every school she had to go to yesterday, and she was like 4 or 5, there was a sign for Morrissey, nothing for anybody else. And she also thought it was funny that nobody had graffitied it to make a funny message. But I guess the people are behind Joe.
Well,
man.
I can tell you, there it is. We can talk about that. We got a call here with Andy. Andy, you're on the Jack Gravely Show on a Wednesday morning. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, I got a couple comments about the Morrissey thing. I was on your page last night on Facebook, and somebody posted the Alford plea that he took is like 33 pages.
I have a copy of it.
Man, if
I mean, they had to redact some of the statements and some of the words in that doggone Alford plea.
Well, I don't know, but I guess my question is, what would have happened if his opponents had copies of that at the polls and were giving them out? Would they be liable for anything? I mean, if it's a signed, state document that he pled to, would that have swayed the voters if they'd actually read that thing?
He would only been liable if what was stated in the document was untrue, or they could prove that. Well, hold on, that proved that it was untrue. It's a legal, public document, and you're taking that the authenticity of it is true, certifiable, and all that other good stuff. But it was too long to read, and I tell you about after the 5th or 6th page. You have to put it down and let the heat leave the pages.
Yeah,
man.
But honestly, the last 10 pages are the text between the two of them, and that's the part that got me. Was it would show her text and his text, and it was unbelievable the stuff that was in there, and that none of that is
public. Well, it's public record, but not known public record, because that is a public document. That is a public record, and it's been floating around for a while.
All righty, man. Thanks.
All right, thanks a lot, Andy. Appreciate it. Jack Gravely Show coming to you from 788-0990, 788-0990. Look, those of you out there driving on the road, if you're listening to me on the Jack Gravely Show, do a couple of things. Cut your lights on. Those of you out driving on the road, cut your lights on. Secondly, use your turn signals when you are making the turn or moving from lane to lane. And to all of the media, television stations, radio stations, especially television stations, when you tell someone that there's an accident at mile marker 78, the question is, where in the hell is mile marker 78? I know where Parham Road is. I know where Broad Street is. I know where Commerce Road is. I know where put a street, a name with it where people can readily identify, especially people from the area. Yes, Billy.
78's Boulevard.
It is?
Yep.
True?
Yep. Absolutely.
How you know? I know how you. But you know, I'm rolling in this morning, mile marker number 78. So I got to stop. I'm rolling 50 miles an hour down the road. Let me see, mile marker 78. What's that? And the signs are so small. Put a street with that mile marker. You would help the citizens. Break time, Jack Gravely Show. Hey, Preston Brown, stay with Preston is on the line. Stay with me. We'll be right back.
If you want more of Jack, stick around. He'll be right back on WLEE News Talk 990.
CEO Radio, I'm Ray Hoffman. Interaction with horses as metaphors for solving problems in the corporate world. That's what they offer at the Horse Institute in Ancramdale, New York. And as visitors take on such assignments as putting a halter on a, the founder and executive director, Marie-Claude Stockel, says people learn quickly that horses don't care if you're an up-and-coming executive or even a CEO.
They just look for clear communication, and they live in the present time. So if something didn't work, no big deal, no grudge. You have a chance to do it differently the next time.
And Marie-Claude Stockel says those next times, those repeated efforts, tend to be the building blocks of great teamwork.
Styles may be different, but you need all the different styles. The really strong teams are those who, unfortunately, have a lot of conflicts because they have different styles, but they learn to work together.
Marie-Claude Stockel of the Horse Institute. Ray Hoffman for CBS Radio News.
Hi, this is Jim Jacobs, and I want to take a minute of your time to talk about Casa Grande. First off, it's a fun word to say. Say it with me. Casa Grande. Now, you know when you say Casa Grande, what comes to mind? Great food. They've been around a long time. My wife and I have been eating at Casa Grande since we first met. You can always depend on the quality of the food, the excellent service, and great beverages. There are 3 Casa Grandes. There's the one at 7818 West Broad Street, then 3528 Pump Road, and now at 10120 Brook Road. If you haven't been to Casa Grande yet, I don't know what to tell you. You're just not in the group. You got to go to Casa Grande for excellent Mexican food every time. And if you've got a special occasion coming up at work, consider letting Casa Grande host it. Casa Grande. Why aren't you heading there now?
My name is Dale Pazinski. I'm 19 years old, and this is how I live united. I've always been kind of a computer geek, and I found a way to use those skills to help the homeless in my community. For people facing hard times, computer skills and a basic resume are so important. It may seem like a small thing, but it makes a huge difference in people's lives. So with United Way, I created a program where I work with the homeless. Together, we go through their whole job history, write a resume, and then save it on their very own USB drive. We provide workbooks and training certificates. I even budgeted for cupcakes so we can celebrate as a class when one of our people gets a job. That's huge. When somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." That's what Living United feels like to me. My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Confessions of a Potentially Perfect Parent, brought to you by AdoptUsKids.org.
I might look like an adult, like a person who could possibly be a parent, but I have no idea how to talk like one. And everyone knows that if you want to be a parent, you have to sound good when you say things like, "Don't make me turn this car around," or "because I said so," or "Don't make me come back there." I don't even really know what those things mean, but I know that I actually believed my parents when they said them to me. How did they manage to sound so convincing? Here we go. "Don't make me come back there." Ugh, no, that's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. "Don't make me come back there." Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit AdoptUsKids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Now, more with Jack Gravely on WLEE News Talk 990.
Hey, thank you so very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. Let's go to Preston Brown. Preston, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Preston.
And it was a great day yesterday. And Monday, we already knew approximately how many voters we were going to get. But Joe's show Monday put the icing on the cake.
Tuesday.
I mean Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
Your show put the icing on the cake.
What you mean my show put the icing on the cake? Come on, man.
A lot of truth came out.
Okay.
And none of the campaign workers overlooked the case. We never overlooked the case. What we were looking at, what was best for the community.
Okay.
The other two candidates, their whole campaign was more of dirt about Joe.
Okay.
And they didn't talk about the issues.
Okay.
Joe kept it clean and talked about the issues and what we could do to make Virginia better.
Let me say this. Preston, I owe you a kudo. You came to my studio yesterday and sit in the chair that I'm looking at right now, and you said it. You said, Jack, we're going to win it. Our poll numbers tell us that. Our ground game tell us that. Our response in the community tell us that. You said it yesterday on the show. And I'll be honest with you. Preston, the conviction and the sincerity that you said that on my show yesterday, I'll be honest with you, man. When I was riding down the road yesterday, I had a gut thought in my mind. I said to myself, I was in the car by myself, and I said to myself, I said, Joe going to win this doggone thing.
Yeah.
And they did. And I was not surprised at all.
And when I first came out and started helping Joe, I took a lot of flack. I took a lot of heat from a lot of people.
Okay.
And I let people know, when I thought about Joe, I thought about Mayor Barr in D.C. Even though he had issues, he always stuck with the community and stuck with the people.
And that may very well be a message for Democrats, that you got to get down on the ground with the people. And I don't mean everybody is down on the ground, poor, and can't help themselves. What I mean, you got to be out there with the community. And one of the things that I think Democrats have lost, not only in Virginia, but across the country, because what you were saying yesterday, which you and I sort of I debated a little bit. When you said yesterday, Jack, who's speaking out on the issues? Where are the other Democrats? Where are they? And I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, maybe Preston is right. And to some degree, you are right. Democrats, you got to issue. You got to let people know where you are. And let me tell you, you had a United States senator, you had a state senator, you had party people, and everybody, you had a congressman down in Charles City taking pictures with the opposition. All of that amounted to naught. That ought to tell the Democrats something.
They couldn't draw up 40 people with an ex-governor.
And a state senator and a member of Congress. That should tell them something. Democrats, you ain't got no ground game for the people.
Right.
That's bad English, but they don't have a ground game.
Right, and it's a whole lot of stuff going to be coming out shortly. We met with a group yesterday, and they're looking for independent candidates to run in the next election.
Well, let me say this. I think it opens up a whole lot of things, and Democrats should not be afraid of Republicans. They need to be afraid of themselves.
Right.
The barbarians are them, as far as the
most people don't know the true history behind the Democratic Party. And if they read the Heart and Soul newspaper, we cover a lot of issues that people don't even bring up.
Now I'm going to have to contest you a little bit on that. I've had Dr. Jeffries on this show 3 times, and he's given the history of the Democratic Party from the Civil War all up, and how Democratic Party was the party that led segregation, massive resistance, and all of that good stuff in the South against people of color. The Democratic Party has a sordid history as far as black folk is concerned, and the Republican Party is trying to replace that history with some of the things they're doing now. But more than anything else, what may be happening, and I said it was with Ferguson too, that you are beginning to see a more independent, a more standalone, and a more we make our decisions for us, a spirit coming out of the community. Democrats, you better catch the wave.
Right.
You better catch the wave. Preston, thank you. Hey, Preston, we need to talk. There's some paperwork, man.
Gotcha.
If you in the area today, come over, sign some paperwork for me, man.
No problem.
All right, man. Talk to you. We'll see you. Let's go to Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Well, good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Paul.
I'm disappointed. Remember we were talking about the poll counts back in November for the House, the 2014 election. My precinct had about 1,200. Yesterday, they ended up with 242.
Okay.
And I think there's one precinct in Henrico County that had a grand total of 3 voters all day.
So you're talking about turnout. And,
boy, is it turnout low.
And if I turn out 1 and you turn out 0, I win.
Right, and oddly enough, Sullivan won the district that precinct that had the 3 votes, 2-1.
2-1, okay.
But I got to quote that philosopher from the 1960s, Eric von Zipper. What a bunch of stupids. I think this is going to be a big, big mistake. And the Republicans,
mistake on whose part?
On the Democrats not turning out the vote. I think the Republicans are going to use Joe Morrissey as a punching bag for the Democratic Party. They're going to say he was once a Democrat. He's now an independent, but he was once a Democrat when he committed these crimes, and it shows how the Democratic Party ethics are so bad, and they're going to use it to offset what Bob McDonnell did.
Okay.
I can just see it coming, and it's sad to say. So,
all right.
Y'all won. Joe won, but I think the party's going to lose.
Got it. Let's go. Let's go to Robert, Northside. Robert, you're on.
Good morning, Mr. I'm talking about Mr. Marcy. No one in the call has had anything to say, but I believe that I want to be the first one to say that I believe that you had a whole lot to do with that election. Having a daughter to come, what she was saying yesterday in the question you were asking her, was talking to you and those questions like she was,
Robert, we don't have the best connection.
You don't?
Okay, now that's a little better. Move your voice away from your phone. Move your voice a little bit away from your phone.
Like I said, I believe the question you was asking her yesterday and the answer she was giving you, and she did not answer those questions. And what you asked her, she didn't answer them like she was lying. She answered them just like, she was really telling the truth. And if I had to vote in that area, I would vote for it myself.
All right.
All
right, Robert. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's go to Greg. Greg out in Henrico. Greg, you on?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, man.
Hey, I can't believe Preston Brown comes on the radio patting himself on the back about Joe Morrissey winning. I got a question for Preston Brown. What does the man have to do in order for you to say, you know what, he doesn't deserve to be in the elected? I mean, does he have to go out and commit murder next time? Or I mean, what does the man have to do before you go, you know what, he shouldn't have ran again? I can't believe this man comes on the air and is bragging about Joe Morrissey getting elected again. And not only that, he's bragging about the numbers that the other guy got. Joe Morrissey didn't get that big a number either. It was a very low turnout for that election. And then I posted on your page there, and Billy responded to it.
Yes.
She, the girl in question there, she posted on her Twitter account, "We won," and # my baby. And then she started to get some heat on it, and she removed the tweet, but everybody had a copy of it.
Now, do you know who posted that message you're talking about? She did?
She did. Yeah, I posted it on your Facebook page.
Yeah, I know about that. I got that report when I walked in the studio this morning.
Yeah, and it's # my baby. She started getting some flack on it, and then she starts tweeting some other stuff about, well, we can still be friends and all this other mumbo-jumbo. Something else is going to be coming down the road, Jack. It's just awful funny. But I just think that this guy coming on your radio show bragging about Morrissey getting elected, and then going to sit there and go, well, he stood up for the black community and all this mess. Who cares, man? So did Robert Byrd, but he was a member of the KKK. So I mean, so we should honor him and everything and reelect him.
Greg, you are real mild this morning, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just blows my mind that, I mean, if this was, Jack, let's be totally honest here. If this was a Republican, as far as I'm concerned, we might as well tell Bob McDonnell to start running for president in jail. Listen, Bob, listen, do what you got to do, start running for president. Because obviously,
and let me ask you, and let me say something. You brought up something that may spark a debate. If Joe Morrissey was a Republican and he had been accused of doing what he's been accused of and signed a plea agreement, what would folk out there who voted for him yesterday think about that?
Jack, if that was the case, your hypocrite callers, your hypocrite Preston Brown would be calling up demanding the man's head. They would be sitting there saying, how in the world could this happen? And you know it, I know it, and your listeners know it, Jack, that it's a bunch of hypocrites out there that want to play this little game, and they're sitting there embarrassing themselves, coming on the air, bragging about Morrissey getting elected.
Okay, got to let that be the last word. All right, got to go to break. Marvin in Richmond, Marvin in Glen Allen, stay on. I got to take a break. I'll be right back. Jack Gravely Show.
Jack will be right back. Call into the show at 788-0990.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tums. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
Rolaids? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
Does your business thrive by serving other businesses? Would you like a healthy, steady flow of B2B leads that are customized to grow sales? Hoovers has developed a best-in-class lead generation tool that makes it easy for you to find targeted leads for your business. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to get the right leads fast. Try it today for free. Get 50 free leads and a 24-hour trial. Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
When you're delivering your sermon or presenting an event, you want a powerful message with a powerful sound, and your delivery must be ideal. Even in church, it starts backstage, and at Backstage, you can have the best in audio and video equipment. Do it right. Do it with Backstage. Backstage is the leader in audio-video rentals and installation and live sound enrichment, with everything from lighting, amplifiers, equalizers, and mixers to wireless mics, video projection, and monitors. Whether it's for a business meeting, sermon, church event, or wedding, Backstage makes it complete. For rental and installation information and all of their services, check out their website at BackstageVA.com. That's BackstageVA.com. And visit Backstage in Richmond at 310 West Broad Street between Madison and Monroe, or call 644-1433. That's 644-1433. Do it today with Backstage.
Now, more with Jack Gravely on WLEE News Talk 990.
Just got to get a little loop in this morning. Jack Gravely Show, 788-0990. The next caller in line is Marvin in Glen Allen. Marvin, you on?
Jack, big number. You're a bad man, Jack.
No, man.
Yeah, man. You're entertaining as heck. I thoroughly enjoy your show.
Thank you.
Well, a couple of things. And I want to say one thing for you, Jack. You sound like a nice guy. You sound like a moral guy. You know what I mean? It sounds like you. Politics is a dirty business. And if you stay with the Democrats, you're going to get some mud on you.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is...
So if I go to Republicans, I won't get mud on me.
You're going to get mud on you. For a talented person like you should be independent. But another thing, what that election shows, and what a lot of people don't understand, black people, we have no confidence in the institutions of this country. The police, the Democrats, the Republicans, we have no allegiance to them. I mean, the ones now, we know Joe Morrissey.
Okay.
I mean, we have a long history in Richmond. We know Joe Morrissey. We don't need Preston Brown or Jack Gravely to tell us about Joe Morrissey.
Okay.
Because we know him. You know what I mean? We know him from standing up against the fighting the power for a long time. We don't need nobody to tell us about him. And we are forgiving and understanding people. We understand. All we have to do is hear that girl talk, and we understand what's going on. So, you don't, God's truth is still marching on. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, go on.
I like for you to stay independent, man, because you're going to get that mud on you if you keep messing with the Democrats.
Well, let me tell you, in my political and adult life, I've voted for both independents, Republicans, and Democrats. I try to call it the way it is, whether it's Democrat or Republican. I state what I believe, and I stand behind what I believe. I'm not wishy-washy on you. And if I get mud on my face, I will admit that I was wrong, and I go back and try it again. But I appreciate the endorsement, Marvin. I do, man. Thank you.
Yeah, but see, they're going to try to use you, though. That's the problem.
Oh, yeah, it's always a use factor. I understand that. And I have been used before.
Yeah, I know you know what
I know what you're talking about. All right, man.
All right, have a good one.
All right, we'll see you. Let's go to James. James in Chesterfield.
Hey, Jack, how you doing?
Hey, man.
I know you're not having a good day, but, you know.
Wait a minute, James. Why am I not having a good day? I'm blessed. I have life, limb, breath.
You're doing personally fine, but Grover was right. The voters are dumb. As simple as that.
Why are you calling the voters dumb, James?
They put in Morrissey.
Why is that dumb from their perspective? Tell me why you call them dumb.
No, it's not from their. You're right, Jack. You got yourself there. You're right. It's not dumb from their perspective, Jack. It's absolutely correct there. It's not dumb from their perspective. You're absolutely correct.
So the voters.
The voters who are voting Democrat, just like they did for the medical bill, because there were no Republicans in that vote. They're dumb, Jack. I can't help it.
James, let me ask you this, and I'll let you come back and reply. James, so the Republican voters on Long Island that just re-elected Graham, who was indicted by the FBI for tax problems, they are dumb. Hold on.
Yes.
The voters in Louisiana who voted for the senator who was having an affair on his wife, Republican senator, they are dumb too. So don't just call out dumb Democrats, call out dumb Republicans too. Microphone is yours. Microphone is yours.
Gruber, the guy who helped write the bill. I'm quoting him, and that's exactly right. Yes, they are dumb, and they're immoral, and they're more interested in their own stuff than they are.
They who? Now, who is this they?
People who do exactly what you said. People who turn around and vote in a felon, or people who do something like that. They are immoral. The guy said they're hypocrites.
Now, the two felons in this conversation, there are three people we're talking about: Marcy Graham and Vitters, the Republican senator from Louisiana, and a Republican congressman from Long Island. They're the only two felons that I know of. Joe Marcy is not a felon. It's misdemeanor. Say what? What is?
Are you saying he was good?
No, I'm not saying that. I am not going to let you come on here and splash and say that Joe Marcy is a felon. He was tried. He signed a plea with a misdemeanor. But those two Republican guys,
anybody who voted for those two Republican guys are dumb, Jack.
Okay.
There's no.
But you coming on here only calling Democrats dumb.
I call the Democrats dumb who voted on the medical bill because there were no Republicans.
And by the way, let me go back. Vetters, the senator from Louisiana, was never charged. It came out in public, and he admitted publicly that he had an affair on his wife, the man that loves God, the man that loves family, the man that loves America, the man that cried and said that he made a big mistake, had an affair, an ongoing affair with a woman, a United States senator, Republican conservative from the South. What do you got to say about that, James?
To do with dumb, Jack.
Okay.
What does that have to do with dumb? If one person is dumb, that's fine. And two people.
All of them who are supposed to be dumb, call them that way. You're not going to come on my show and just call out Democrats. Call out Republicans too.
Call the one vote that Gruver said, and the one vote that didn't get any Republicans, dumb. I'm going to call people who put in Morrissey dumb.
Okay, you had your statement. All right, man. Thanks a lot, James.
Bye.
All right, let's go to Mike. Mike, you on the Jack Gravely Show.
He had too much Red Bull in his coffee, Jack.
Hey, man.
Help me. I had to turn my volume down,
Help
Jack.
me, Mike.
Everybody all upset. They just need to calm down. This was the factor of a low turnout yesterday. And also, you have to look at the fact that child came all the way from Atlanta. I think Joe Morrissey is still pulling punches. He is a Teflon Don. He is the mob boss. He shows you how powerful he is. Nothing sticks to the man. And you got to give it to him, Jack. He's still running this. He's running this show. He's powerful. And there's nothing sticks to him. He's the Teflon Don. That's a new word for him, Jack.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Jack Gravely Show on a snow, not on the snow, a sort of a snowy, icy, wet, freezing day here in Central Virginia. The sun is not shining, but it's a beautiful day because every day the good Lord sends is a beautiful day. Now, be careful out there on the roads. I-95, again, coming up from Petersburg, Virginia, was on a scale of 10. I said it's about a 7-8. It was clear. I did not slip. I did not slide. There was no slush on the road. The road was basically clear. When I got off 95 at Chamberlain Avenue and made the turn to come up to Broad Street, that's where I started slipping and sliding in the city of Richmond, Virginia this morning, but I made it through. 788-0990, 788-0990. My toll-free number from anywhere in Virginia and lands beyond. You can call us at 877-953-3990. That's my toll-free number for you to participate in the conversation this morning. And we're not only talking about the election last night, we're talking about other issues on the Jack Gravely Show. And we invite you to come in, whether you agree or not. Let's go to David T. David T., you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Yeah, man.
Hey, man.
I'm kind of lacking this listening to you all. So, you know what I'm saying?
It's a talk show, man. It's a talk show. That's all it is. Look, hey, David T., you like me, man. You came from the same part of town I came from. Look, David T., when you're in the backyard with your boys on a Saturday, doing a little barbecue, washing cars, listening to the music, and talking about growing up, that's all it is. That's all I have here is a backyard conversation with folk that like me or dislike me, but some know a little bit more than I know. Some of them know a little bit less, but we all friends. Microphone's yours.
Yeah, what took me, they mad because of Joe Morrissey. I'm not in this district, but I do know some people, and they say when they call him, they get help. So that's the bottom line. That's what a politician's supposed to do. Okay, they will let moral turpitude slide by, and I think those that heard that young lady probably swung them in their way regardless of whatever text, because I know I have said some raunchy things, texting back and forth, and just and just saying raunchy things.
Yeah, and you know that statement about what a politician is supposed to do, and that's what the leadership and the big people in Richmond never could understand about former city councilman Chuck Richardson. The people in the 5th District in the city liked and loved Chuck Richardson because when they called him, he came. When they had an issue, he dealt with it. And they still love and respect Chuck Richardson. And any politician who does that, it's been proven time and time again, you work for the people, you hang with the people, you stay with the people, and you work for the people will reward you.
Yeah, because all of us know that we got our sins.
Yeah.
So we know the kind of stuff we do when the lights are not on. So long as the cat is not stealing for us, and he honest as far as we can see about what went down there. I heard the thing the other day. He said he didn't hit her. She said he didn't hit her. So that's all I can say.
He who? Hit who?
Joe Morrissey.
Hit who?
When I say hit her,
yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, Jack. You said we was in the backyard.
Man, you said we in the backyard. Lady.
The people out there that's from the neighborhood, they know what I mean.
I know what you mean, too.
Well, anyway.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you, it's worth the ride up an icy road. It's worth the ride. Oh, man.
Yeah, but I thought about the last guy that was beefing, or he just was foaming at the mouth. That's the guy always foaming at the mouth about our black leaders, who we choose to lead us and stuff like that. He wanted to pick them. Yeah. But I'm listening at him. He all up in a tizzy. They voted for Bush twice, and Bush was a liar. He got people killed. So until they have some, there's
a lot of people killed, like 5,000 plus killed.
Yeah, on a straight-up lie. Yeah. But, you look at the Republicans across the board. The Democrats are not much better. But these guys that call in foaming at the mouth, about some of the politicians, because like I said, I got a place down in South Carolina. Make it quick. They elected that guy that went over to Argentina to play nice.
Yeah.
With that, he stole money from the people because he did it on the people's dime.
Sanford, Governor Sanford, he's on the Appalachian Trail, and he down there land between the sheets with his woman in Argentina talking about he hiking.
And they put him back in office, not a big thing, and you ain't heard him say nothing.
With benefits. Put him back in office with benefits, man. All right, thanks a lot, David T. Jack Gravely Show, break time. Chuck, Glenn Allen, and others. Hold on, stay with me on the Jack Gravely Show.
Some of us were born. Stick around. The Jack Gravely Show will be right back on WLEE News Talk 990.
We have told you about Faith Sharon Daycare Center in Ashland, a daycare center with program staff and a facility that provides your loved ones with the best of care in a social setting that is safe and well managed. The Faith Sharon Daycare Center at 325 South Hill Carter Parkway in Ashland is a daycare center that will provide the very best for your family member. You can call area code 804-337-6680 or 307-0707. Faith Sharon Daycare Center is a home away from home. Games, walks, exercises, breakfast, lunch, and just good, positive social environment with the peers for your family members is a large part of what makes Faith Sharon Daycare Center successful. Visit them or call them at 337-6680 or 307-0707. You know, sometimes looking your best will require a little help. That's when Johnson's Beauty Salon at 402 North 2nd Street comes in. Johnson's Beauty Salon, a licensed professional salon, can provide you with a shampoo, hair trims, coloring, weaves, relaxer, flat iron, and all the other hair needs you would want. The shop personnel are all professional and dedicated to providing you the best service in the city. Johnson's Beauty Salon, open from Tuesday through Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The telephone number is area code 804-649-2572. They're open Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Walk-ins are always welcome. Appointments after 5 p.m. are required on weekdays. Call Johnson's Beauty Salon at 649-2572.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway, heading to work. I sit in front of you on the bus. I work in the office down the hall and stand next to you in the elevator. We've known each other for years, and I've told you a lot about my life. But of all the things you know about me, here's one you don't. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans, and I'm struggling with hunger. This isn't an incurable disease. It's not an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. This problem is closer than you think. Fortunately, so is the solution. Please, visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. Other groundbreaking ideas from that time, the whalebone corset, the pedal-operated submarine, and the 2-story outhouse. We've come a long way since then. It's time our light bulbs did the same. Visit EnergySavers.gov and learn about energy-saving light bulbs. See, these new bulbs are more efficient than the old ones, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. They last longer, too, like how we humans last longer now that doctors use antibiotics instead of leeches. And they cut down on our energy costs, because in our own groundbreaking age of aeroplanes and moving pictures, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
For live streaming audio of The Jack Gravely Show, log on to WLEE990.am.
Thank you very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. Let's go to Chuck up in Glen Allen. Chuck, you on the show, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
I know you think this is a big joke, but, people...
Why do you say I think it's a big joke?
Because you were just sitting there laughing about this girl that Joe Morrissey was having in a relationship, and you were the sexual innuendo that the guy that you were talking to was making about it, and you were guffawing. That's why.
You didn't hear my editorial of 2 weeks ago? My commentary about
no,
the
situation? No, I'm just saying what you just did.
I know what I just did, and I thought it was
appropriate. You know
appropriate.
what you did.
I know what
I
did.
That you were, and you know you were joking about it.
And
so
what
don't
is...
start there.
Wait a minute. Let's deal with it. You make an accusation to me. First and foremost, I thought my laughter was more than appropriate once I found out exactly what he meant from the perspective that I come from.
Fun of the fact
no, I'm not making fun. I was making fun of the fact that I was so slow to catch what David T. was saying.
No, you were laughing at the sexual innuendo that he was
Yes, I was. Yes, and I thought it was appropriate.
Okay.
And I thought it was appropriate. I don't think that was demeaning anyone.
That's all I'm saying.
And all I'm saying is that I'm rejecting what you're saying is that I'm making a joke out of it or I'm trying to make light of it. I think it's very, very serious. But the context in which it came up, I was laughing because I thought it was funny. I was laughing at it because I was funny. And let me tell you, Chuck, you don't tell me when or when not to laugh, brother. I determine that. You don't determine that. I don't determine when you laugh. That is not a joke to me.
I'm saying.
But I thought it was an appropriate laughter once. Oh, that's what you talking about. That was a context.
And
now, if you have problems with that, that's on you, brother. You're not going to put it on me.
And I'm saying if you think that it's a joke,
it is not a joke.
You're laughing about Joe Morrissey having a sexual relationship with this underage girl.
I was laughing and joking about the context and the vernacular in which David T. discussed it or handed it to me because I was slow to catch a statement that I've heard coming up in the community that I grew up in reference to a sexual relationship with a woman. I was slow to catch it because I asked him, what are you talking about?
Let's agree to disagree. I'm saying that all around the country...
No, you can agree to disagree. I'm not in that mess with you.
Whatever.
All right.
All around the country, this is a national news story now. They're looking at our community and saying, and you've seen this before, where people elect somebody. This is the most extreme case I've ever heard, where the guy is actually in jail, and we've elected him. And you look at these people and you say, these people are
Congressman
crazy.
Grimm of Long Island, a Republican, was getting ready to go to jail. They reelected him under federal indictment. He was not in jail. He was not.
And you and I look at that and we say, these people have got to be crazy. Why in heaven's name would they ever elect somebody in that kind of situation? Is this the best we can do?
And if you heard my commentary last 2 weeks ago, that's exactly what I said. And as I said when I came on the show this morning, I stand by it.
And I'm just saying, now in the national news, I mean, everybody, half of the people who are calling this morning are glowing about this and laughing about it and having fun with it. And I'm saying all around the world, people are looking at our community and saying, we're a bunch of idiots because we are reelecting a guy who is in jail for pleading guilty to this Alford plea, and we have reelected him.
Yep, that's the people.
And that's the people. It's a sad day for our community.
That's
my point.
Okay. Your point stated. All right, Chuck, thanks a lot. Now, you see how Jack Gravely, how I allow people who disagree with me have their statement on? Go to other conservative talk show hosts. They would not allow someone to come back. And even though I disagree with Chuck, I like the way he stated his case. And I like the fact that I let him state his case. I don't run from controversy or run from people who disagree with me. George Richmond, you're on the Jack Gravely Show. George. Hey, man.
Thanks for your show. Good morning.
Thank you, man.
You know what?
What?
I agree with the previous fellow that it's a shame and everything, but when you laughed, I was laughing louder than you did. Because I never heard it before.
You never heard it?
No.
Oh man, there are a lot of my producer Ryan and I was just talking about it. And look, I'm a family show, so I'm going to keep this above board. And that's why my mind wasn't there when David T said that Joe Marcy denied that he hit her.
Yeah.
You know, hit who? That's where I was. That's where my mind was. My mind was above board. And then I realized what he was talking about, and I was laughing at how dumb I was.
My exact sentiment, the same reaction, and I laughed louder than you. And you know what occurred to me?
What?
I said to myself, wow, when I come into some money, I want to get all these Jack Gravely callers and fans together. Let's have some good time.
All right, thanks a lot, George. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Bye.
And let me say this. I don't want anyone out there to make and think that I'm disrespectful of women. There are terms and phrases that men use other than the vulgar vernacular of having sex with a woman. There are a lot of terms out there. I won't say them on the radio. But there are a lot of terms out there, and I got to speak where I come from and men that I've been around and grew up with, backyard, working on cars on a Saturday, and a man would turn around and he would say, yeah, I so-and-so. What? You did what? And those are phrases. I don't mean any disrespect to any women. I don't mean any disrespect to the public listener. Those are phrases and terms that's used around the community that I grew up in. Bill, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Good morning, Mr. Gravely.
Good morning, Bill. Hold on. Hey, Bill, you got to call me back on the other side. I'm right up at news break, man. Call me back. You can call me back, man. Stay with us.
The Jack Gravely Show.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tums. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
Rolaids? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
Does your business thrive by serving other businesses? Would you like a healthy, steady flow of B2B leads that are customized to grow sales? Hoovers has developed a best-in-class lead generation tool that makes it easy for you to find targeted leads for your business. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to get the right leads fast. Try it today for free. Get 50 free leads and a 24-hour trial. Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
I heard on the news about that 5-year-old who found his uncle's gun. The kid didn't know it was loaded.
I heard on the news about that 14-year-old girl who was bullied online for like a year. She couldn't take it anymore, so she got her dad's gun from his nightstand.
I heard on the news about that guy who broke into someone's house, stole a gun from the hall closet.
He accidentally shot his cousin in the head.
She killed herself.
And later, killed the owner of the store he was trying to rob.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
As you spend your Saturday on the things that matter to you, take us along for the ride. It's Lifestyle Talk Radio on News Talk 990, WLEE Richmond.
CBS News, I'm Frank Settapani. 3 million copies printed, and still it wasn't enough to meet demand. Charlie Hebdo, the no-holds-barred Paris newspaper that was attacked for offending Muslims, returned to the newsstands today. For vendors, it was stack 'em and sell 'em. CBS News correspondent Elaine Cobb.
Many of the vendors operated a very strict rationing principle, one person, one copy. That led to several fights as people were complaining, how did you get it? Why didn't I get one? I'm a regular here. Why didn't you keep me one? I left you a note last night. And a lot of the poor vendors were saying, look, they've delivered fewer copies than usual. There's only so much we can do.
The paper plans to make an additional 2 million copies available. In a new video, Al-Qaeda in Yemen claims it engineered the attack on Charlie Hebdo. CBS's Bob Orr tells us there's reason to believe that claim in a new video. The brothers who carried out the massacre had ties to al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
They had a solid relationship with AQAP, and they were operatives, essentially lying in wait in France to carry out this devastating attack.
We have breaking news from Boston. A federal judge has just refused to interrupt jury selection for the trial of Boston Marathon bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Defense lawyers failed to persuade the judge that comparisons to the Charlie Hebdo massacre would stack the deck against Tsarnaev. On Wall Street, stocks opened sharply lower after the government reported a drop in December retail sales. While consumer demand was down across the board, analyst Ken Perkins points out that plunging gasoline prices had a lot to do with the weak sales number overall.
Gasoline stations were down 14% year over year, which really had a huge drag on the overall number, down 6.5% during the month.
In early trading, the Dow Industrials fell more than 200 points. They've come back a bit. They're down 182. President Obama wants new limits on methane emissions. Live to CBS News correspondent Pam Coulter at the White House.
Frank, the president's executive measures call for plugging leaking methane in drilling equipment and production facilities and are designed to cut the climate warming emissions almost in half over a decade. The Natural Resources Defense Council's David Doniger.
Methane, though it's only maybe 10% of the emissions, is an important part of the problem.
Industry spokesman Marty Durbin says producers are already working on the problem.
We brought down methane emissions significantly, and we know we can go a lot farther.
The rules take effect next year, Frank.
A Navy ship has located the fuselage of the AirAsia plane that went down in the Java Sea. Only 50 of the 162 crash victims have been recovered. Most of the rest could be in the fuselage. The International Space Station crew evacuated the American side of the station early today because of what appeared to be an ammonia leak, but NASA believes it was just a false alarm.
Everything's looking pretty normal right now, so it's becoming a stronger case that this is a false indication, which is great news.
This is CBS News.
This is a special alert for Americans who are behind on their taxes or haven't sent out prior year tax returns. If you owe back taxes, you're now eligible to settle that debt with the IRS for much less than what you owe. For free information, go to peoplestaxrelief.com or call 800-759-5500. Millions of taxpayers are now legally eligible to settle their tax liability for a fraction of what they owe. Act now on this limited time opportunity or risk wage garnishment, bank levies, outrageous penalties and fees, and property seizure. People's Tax Relief specializes in tax settlements. When you call, you'll speak to experts who are former IRS agents with insider knowledge of the system, which makes a substantial difference as they resolve your tax debt directly with the IRS. Call 800-759-5500. There's a limited amount of time that can be available to where the government will accept tax settlements, so you must act now. Call People's Tax Relief today. 800-759-5500. 800-759-5500.
Here's a look at area headlines on WLEE News Talk 990.
A federal judge is ordering former Governor Bob McDonnell to begin serving his prison sentence while he appeals his 11 corruption convictions. U.S. District Judge James R. Spencer yesterday denied McDonnell's request to remain free on bond and ordered him to report to prison February 9th. A man accused of wounding a Richmond police officer in a shootout is now in jail. 20-year-old Tamar X. Harris was released from the hospital yesterday, made an appearance in court, and was taken to jail. He is accused of shooting Officer William Turner, who was responding to a call in Harris's neighborhood January 2nd. When it comes to filling state coffers with federal funds, Virginia ranks low among states dependent on Uncle Sam, according to the Tax Foundation. Virginia obtained 23.5% of its 2012 fund from the feds. Mississippi topped the list at 45%. Alaska received the least at 20%.
With your latest newscast, I'm Billy Flynn on WLEE News Talk 990.
Now, the weather forecast from News Talk 990.
Today, cloudy, a 40% chance of ice, high of 33. Tonight, cloudy, a 40% chance of ice, low of 27. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 46. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low of 29. Friday, clear skies, high of 49. Friday night, clear skies, low of 25. Saturday, clear skies, high of 49. Sunday, cloudy, rain likely, high of 53.
That's your latest weather forecast from WLEE News Talk 990.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
You are now entering the world of Jack Grabbley, a talk show you can participate in, believe in, and a host you can disagree with. So sit back and listen to the edgy, entertaining, and educational Grand Central station of talk radio in beautiful downtown Richmond, Virginia. The Jack Grabbley Show begins right now.
Thank you so very much for staying with me on the Jack Grabbley Show. It is a Wednesday morning. It is the 14th of January. You're on the air at 788-0990. My toll-free number is 877-953-3990. Let's go. Amarillo?
Yeah.
Okay, you on.
Okay, I hear myself in echo again, but I'm trying to continue talking. The guy before, no, not the call before the break, but the call before, he was, we tried to debate or argue with you about it. You were laughing about the whole situation about Joe Morrissey.
Yes.
Right? I was wondering if this guy was complaining about you, I was wondering if he's complaining about the comedians who are making jokes when you watch TV or, you know, the popular comedians, because, I mean, what you did was nothing, you know, was just soft. I mean, because there are comedians, they are really cruel. Well, I laugh at these jokes, but they're really cruel. They're really putting people down. And, you know.
What so, I was not laughing at the situation involving Joe Morrissey and a young woman. I was laughing at the fact that David T. pulled up a phrase I have not heard in years. And I was slow to get it and understand what he meant.
Oh.
Now, it wasn't, no, I take what happened. I would be a liar. I would be a foolish. I would be dumb. And I would be duplicitous to stand up here and say, oh, I can laugh at that situation. It's a horrible situation to both sides, families, and people, other folk involved. I was laughing at the fact that David T. used a phrase that in past years I have heard that used by men as a statement. How can I say this? I want to do it as politely and respectful as possible, as a phrase in a male-female relationship. Let me leave it at that. And that I didn't get it, and then I turned around and asked him, hit who? You know, I'm thinking of physical attack. I'm thinking about somebody fighting someone, and David T. said, you know what I mean. That is where I laughed. That was the point of my laughing. And if he found it an affront, or he found it degrading, or found it me belittling the point, then that's on him. That was not my purpose, and that's not why I laughed.
Okay, but because if certain comedians making jokes about the situation, you know, about the Joe Morrissey situation, comedians, you know, certain comedians, and you hear the joke, are you start to laugh?
In the culture and society we live in, people laugh at crude, rude, jokes. We laugh at stuff in this country. And that's the reason why some of the people in America have a problem with what is the big thing about the picture of Muhammad on the magazine in France. People satirize the president, the Pope, the preachers, lawyers, public figures. You ought to go back in history and look at some of the cartoons of especially President Andrew Jackson, President Lincoln, some others. Oh, man, some of the jokes and some of the cartoons they drew was absolutely devastating, in my opinion. But people laughed at them, and in America, you do that. You can do that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I mean that's a part of the freedom, part of the First Amendment, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, because I guess there are always certain people complaining about. You cannot make jokes about this, you know, and they start to complain about the comedian. But you know, on the other hand, certain comedians might make jokes about those who complain about those comedians, you know.
Okay.
That might be possible too. But I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just curious if people start to laugh at. I mean, if you was laughing a lot to somebody make the jokes about the Joe Morrissey situation to the comedians, and you telling me, you might laugh at the joke.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Amarillo. Let's go to Jim. Jim, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, Jim.
Been listening to your callers, and while I very much oppose what he did, I would not have elected him, voted for him. The Commonwealth of Virginia is not going to disintegrate because Joe Morrissey was reelected. I mean, we need to just take a breath. I want to ask you a question. Do you think he is going to be effective in the House of Delegates? And what I mean by that is I just see him as being radioactive. I just don't see members of either party wanting to, sponsor legislation or have I got the right take on that, or do you think this will fall by the...
I think the first take on it is, will he be seated and remain in the House of Delegates?
I think he's going to stay. I don't see how... I mean, I know they have the right and the mechanism to do that, but you talk about disenfranchising people. I don't think politically they could do that.
I can tell you, if they make the move, I expect a big political fight. Now, I have an email that I received from the leader of the Democrats in the House of Delegates last night. I had an email. Like a lot of other people, he just didn't send it to me. He sent it to some other folk, too. And I got an email, and I understand from that email they're going to move forward with kicking Joe Morrissey out of the House of Delegates. They're going to move forward with that move. Now, whether or not they're going to be successful is a question for another day, but I think they're going to happen. Now, I think this whole situation places the Democrats in a quandary. Here are the Democrats. They went after this Republican governor and got him. They got him. When I say Democrats, I don't mean the judge and the jury. I mean Democrats said that he needed to pay and blah, blah, blah. Now, you have a man that coming in that signed a plea agreement of contributing to the delinquents of a minor. Democrats, what you going to do? Democrats, what you going to do? And if you do it, you're going to possibly stir up a nest of a voter rights suit, because I know that's the next fight that Joe Morrissey is getting ready for. And I think it's going to happen. Now, if he stays in the House, I would agree with you that I would think that he may be very much radioactive. But in the pursuit of policy and politics, you can't count anything out. People go to bed with different folk. Somebody that they shot at 12 o'clock, they voting with at 5 o'clock.
You can't make this stuff up?
No, you can't. Not even in Hollywood. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go to Tommy. Tommy, you on the Jack Gravely Show.
Morning, Jack.
Hey, Tommy.
Well, it is a dog and pony show. You got to admit that. But here's where the really big pony is going to come out. Suppose that they do remove him from as a delegate, okay? But then you've got to put somebody back in the representative. What would stop him from running for election again?
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what law that the House of Delegates could implement. I mean, if you remove him, what's the word? Expunge or expulge, whatever it is.
Expel.
Okay.
Or remove.
So you remove it. But then you got to have another election, and I know I'm repeating myself, but what could prevent him from not doing exactly
To my knowledge, Tommy, nothing. To my knowledge, as of right now.
So
I'm not an expert on it.
So that's when the circuits get bigger.
Yeah. Oh, the circuit's going to be bigger. When does the House of Delegates open? Today, tomorrow?
I think it's close. You're very close. It's within 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. We'll see. The circuit's going to start then. There's no doubt about it.
If you read in the Richmond Times-Dispatch this morning, the Speaker, Howe, I mean, he just basically laid the gauntlet down and said that he feels like that's his obligation to do it.
Oh, the Republicans and some Democrats going to definitely go after it.
I think it would be bipartisan. I really do.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, thanks a lot. Let's go to Earl. Earl, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
How you doing, Brother Jack?
Hey.
I'm one of the voters of Joe Morrissey, and this is why. Joe now being defuncted from the Democratic Party is a voice that experiences and get our issues done now. Procurement reform is something, the disparity study that we're now hearing from any party. So Joe got 365 days not to go down there to be a show, but to go down there to produce something for the people in reference to jobs, as far as procurement reform.
Hold on, Earl. Let's be real. He's an independent. He's not a party of either caucus down there. He's not a part of either. Hold on. He's not a party of either caucus. The Republicans are not going to support him from Jump Street. And then if the Democrats jump on his bandwagon, they're going to be exposed as being duplicitous, two-faced, and everything else. Last week, you were calling for his head. Now you want an invitation to his house. So where is he? And some have already talked about that. He's a man in no man's land. Who's going to be a co-sponsor on his bill? Who's going to put their name on his bill? It's internal politics. It's not just stuff out in the street. Yeah, he's our man. He's independent. Who is he going to get to co-sponsor bill with him? What caucus is he going to go to? What votes are he going to be able to? What committee appointments are he going to get? What kind of power would he really have as an independent, and an independent which his own party is trying to get rid of him? You can talk all of that stuff, Earl, but in the real world of politics, it's rougher than that, brother.
And this is what the new age of politics is. He was voted in by people that was independent and want to think that. So he has a constituent now. Who do he have to caucus with? That Constitution
don't mean nothing. President Barack Obama was voted in.
There you go. And then what did President Obama have to do? He had to utilize his power, which he had within his office, to maximize and do.
And what power does Joe Marcy have in his office?
The power of existing
what
laws.
What power does Joe Marcy? Hey, Earl, let me ask you a question. Earl, let me ask you a question, man. Earl, let me ask you a question, please, man. Because all you're throwing at me is a whole lot of words. What power does you are equating Joe Marcy and power with the president, executive authority of the United States of America, man?
No, what I am saying, if I can get it out, I'm going to be quick. What I'm saying is,
take your time.
As a delegate, he has certain authorities and powers within this state. And I'm saying just as the president had to, because he had no party support or any cross the aisle, he had to utilize that. And I'm saying Joe has that same opportunity within the delegate and the authority to be able to address policies and address laws that he can affect that's already enacted that can be addressed. This is where he has to go. He can't go there thinking he's going to get a caucus. He can't go there thinking he's going to get somebody to support a law. He has to look at what's already there, which we have already identified, for him to pursue, and that's going to bring jobs. And that's what's going to keep him elected, because it's the people who elect him, not corporate America, not the parties. We see what the parties will spend money on. But
hear what you're saying. Stop the rhetoric. I hear what you're saying. Let me tell you. Back in the 40s, the Pope told Hitler to stop his mess, to stop running over Germany, stop killing Jews. Hitler sent a message back to the Pope, and how many divisions does the Pope have? And I say that to say, Joe has a vote, he has a body. How many divisions does Joe have? All right. Gotta move. Jack Gravely Show, break time. All that crap.
Jack will be back after a few messages on WLEE News Talk 990.
So what exactly is this Gangplank RVA thing I'm hearing about all over town? Basically, it's a community center for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and creatives. We provide a large open space for you to work with a desk and a chair, high-speed Wi-Fi, and other amenities you normally find in an office setting. And just what does all this cost, you ask? Zip, zero, zilch. Using Gangplank RVA is absolutely free. There are no membership fees. All that we ask is for you to pay it forward by sharing your knowledge and skills with the community. Just bring your laptop, your cell phone, and your work materials, and you're good to go. It's a work environment without all the distractions of a home office or a coffee shop. Drop in Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or we host several meetups every week that you're welcome to visit anytime. We have 2 convenient locations for you to check out, one in Scotts Addition and one in downtown Richmond at RVA Works. Learn more by visiting gangplankrva.org today, and we look forward to you joining us at Richmond's Community Center for Entrepreneurs, Gangplank RVA.
My grades were bad. I would get D's and C's.
I appeared to be doing good at my school life, but if you would see me at home, it would have been a completely different story.
I mean, it was just rough
focusing on school when your mother is somebody you have to take care of. It got worse and worse and worse throughout the years.
There are students who need somebody.
They can trust someone, and it could be the first person they've ever trusted in their life.
Communities in Schools is lowering America's dropout rate by helping more than 1.3 million kids every year get whatever they need to succeed in school.
If anything was going on at home, we would go just stop by Miss Liberty's office and talk to her.
Communities in Schools vouched for me when everyone else had lost hope.
You can help change the picture of education right here in your community and across the nation. Visit communitiesinschools.org.
I hear people say we can't save every kid, but I think that we can.
Hi, I'd like to apply for a student loan.
Wonderful. We just need to verify that you've registered with Selective Service.
But I haven't registered.
Oh.
Hi, I'd like to sign up for a job training program.
Fantastic! This program is great for learning the skills that help you get a good job. Let's just check to make sure you've registered with Selective Service.
Well, I haven't registered.
Oh.
Thank you for letting me interview for this government job. I'm really excited about working here.
Well, yes, but your records indicate that you're not registered with Selective Service. I'm sorry.
Young men who fail to register with Selective Service can find a lot of doors closed to them. The law requires that all men register with Selective Service within 30 days of their 18th birthday. If you don't, you lose your right to receive student loans and job training, and you're shut out of federal employment. Don't close the doors to your future. Register with Selective Service online at www.sss.gov or at your post office.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Listen to Jack Gravely online. Just click the Listen Live link on WLEE990.am.
Thank you very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show here on a Wednesday morning. Let's go to David R. David R., you on?
Yes, Jack, I have a question I wonder if you pondered. Do you think your interview recently with the daughter of the accused in the situation swayed the voters one way or another? Because it seemed like when this commercial was coming out against the guy who was running against Morrissey, you know, a lot of people listened to this man speak, and then when the daughter came on, it's like they just contradicted, you know, everything that he was stating. And you think that swayed the voters in any way?
I have no way of knowing that. I let the voters decide that. We put the people on the air, and I think that's what a good talk show host should be all about, is putting different views on the air, and we did that. And I'm not smart enough, and I'm not going to trample into the area. Yeah, it did this to the voters.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had
I don't
seen
know.
any emails, because it seemed to me that commercial that man was doing was very profound, but then when the mother and the daughter came on, it seemed like they just trashed everything that he basically was saying and stood for.
It may have, but I'm not going to step out there and say yes or no. I'll let the people decide. I'm not going to try to speak for people on that basis. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jack Gravely Show. When you are a legislator in a body, one of the most important things that you must have is allies and people who you call co-patrons. People who will sign on to support your bill or legislation that you're proposing. With all of this going around, Attorney Joe Morrissey, I have to ask the question, where is his division? Who's going to support him? There may very well be, but you can talk about independence. You can talk about saying this and saying that. You can stand up and talk all day. You can be as independent as you want to. You can talk about the folk and what you're going to do and all like that. When it comes down to moving legislation, you must have supporters. You want someone to co-sign as a support. That's where the rubber hits the road. And let me tell you, it's not about Joe Marcy with those delegates down there. It's about them, because they are going to figure and they are going to think, if I support a bill that Joe Marcy put in, then my opponent back home going to paint me as one that supports someone who puts their hands on young girls. And it's going to wipe out my... You supported that? You supported him? It's a quandary. And you can talk all of that noise you want to. You can say all the good stuff you want to. You can talk about all the good, historic, patriotic, flowing in the sky, a star-spangled banner. It comes down to politics. It comes down to who you trust. It comes down to who you support. It comes down to who you can count on. Hold on. And then hear the Democratic Party leadership saying that we want to kick him out. We want to get rid of him. We don't like him. We don't want him. We don't want him in our caucus. And then you're going to turn around and support his bill? You're going to turn around and support his legislation? And it has nothing to do with the merits of the legislation. It has a lot to do with the politics of the legislation. Soapbox. Rome, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Hey, Jack, how you doing? Good morning.
Man, how you doing, man?
Hey, man, I ain't heard the show yesterday, but I heard it on the radio, on another radio station, your show.
Wait, you heard my show on another radio station?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Rome. Help me with that. What do you mean? I come on WLEE, man.
Yes, but your show was on another radio station. Somebody was playing the interview and everything. And you know where I'm going with that. But you
don't have to go there, name why. Well, I'll be doggone. It's humbling. That's humbling. They played my interview on another radio show?
Yes, sir. And it came on 1 o'clock, after 1 o'clock yesterday evening.
And it was in the city of Richmond?
Yes.
In the state of Virginia?
Southside.
On planet Earth?
Yes, sir.
Wrong.
That interview was on. I didn't hear it that morning.
Wait. Now, Rome, you were not dreaming, were you?
No.
Rome, you hadn't been smoking or nothing like that, had you?
Or none of that juice. None of it.
You had no juice? You drink no oil or nothing like that? You know, it's called juice oil, too, you know.
It wouldn't even relapsing over the Ravens. None of that.
None of that. You had no relapse. You were not in the hospital. You didn't just come from under anything. And you heard my show on some other radio station?
Yes, sir.
Well, I be doggone.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock.
Bless their little hearts.
Yes, sir. I see you got it going on, Jack.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, Rome.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Jack Gravely Show coming to you from 788-0990, 788-0990. Toll-free number 877-953-3990 for anywhere in the Commonwealth of Virginia and lands beyond. Let me tell you, I don't think that Attorney Joe Marcy can top what he's just done. Let me say it again. You in jail, and you get reelected. Don't care how many. If you got one vote, you got reelected. Hold on. To top that would be going to the legislature, not getting kicked out, introduce bills that the Republicans flock and sign and support. If you could do that, I mean, you're almost a water walker. And you know what I mean? You can do that. And let me tell you, if he can do that, then that's another chapter. Then it got to go to Hollywood. It's got to go. It might go to Hollywood anyway. I don't know. I'm hearing people. I've been getting email messages and stuff like that. Hollywood. Somebody asked me on the show this morning who's going to play me in the movie.
Yeah, that was
no one. That ain't going to no movie, man. If it is, I'm not going to be in it. Not even my radio show. They're going to figure out another way to get it out there. But Jack Gravely Show, we having a little fun this morning. Not taking it too seriously, but it is a serious issue. Jack Gravely Show. Stay with us. Break time.
Jack's just getting warmed up. Come on back after the break on WLEE News Talk 990.
Army Specialist Andrew Pike became paralyzed while serving in Iraq. Andrew and his father explained the impact of his injury.
At first you think, I want my son to be able to walk.
My injury was a gunshot wound to the left abdomen from a sniper. My first contact with paralyzed veterans was in Walter Reed.
Paralyzed Veterans National Service officers work with our injured veterans to ensure they get the benefits they have earned. NSO Michael Killen explains.
We try to reassure them what benefits are out there, and we try to educate them and take some of that stress away from them.
Paralyzed Veterans of America helped Andy get the auto, housing, and vocational benefits he earned.
PVA did a fantastic job making sure that he got those benefits on a timely basis.
Right now I'm going back to school to earn a degree, and I'm just spending time with my wife and child.
To learn how you can help our paralyzed veterans, visit pva.org. A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Ian Ralston was a combat medic who suffered a catastrophic war injury in Iraq. When I met Ian for the first time, I knew we had to do everything we could to get him every benefit he's earned to live as normal life as possible. And we did. He needed an accessible house. We got that grant, and a van for his wheelchair to get him there. My name is Jason Stevenson, and I work for Paralyzed Veterans of America.
America's most seriously injured veterans are getting all the care and benefits they've earned, thanks to Paralyzed Veterans of America. For over 65 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has helped hundreds of thousands of veterans, and their service is free to all veterans and their families. Paralyzed Veterans of America, changing lives, building futures. To learn more, visit pva.org. A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Now, back to the Jack Gravely Show on WLEE News Talk 990.
Your turn. Our turn. Your turn now. All my life, I've been singing them sad songs, trying to get my message to you. But this the only song, y'all, I can sing. And when I get to singing my message to me, to you, it goes.
Hey, thank you so very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. A lot of things are happening around here this morning. Let's go to James in Richmond. James, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Good morning, Jack.
Good morning, James.
I'm calling in reference to your topic this morning.
Yes, sir.
If you view it from historical context and you put it in perspective, the African-American female has always been abused by the Western male in our society, in our culture, and we have always accepted it. For example, the young girl working in the master house was abused, but yet we sent her back to the master house in the 60s, the 50s, and the 40s. Our mothers and sisters and daughters went to do domestic work in their homes, came home pregnant, but we had no options. So we sent them back to work at those locations in which they were being sexually abused, and because we had no options. Here, again, that's basically the same thing that has occurred with Joe Morrissey. Because if we look within our community, I think we all can come up with 18 and 19-year-old young African-American males that went to high school with their African-American girlfriend, and they turned 18 and the girlfriend was still 17, and they was arrested for indecent liberties with a minor. And yet when it happened with a 40-year age difference, once again, within the African-American community, we went back to work to support the abuser and victimized the victim and gave credit and support to the perpetrator of the crime.
Okay, let me ask you a few questions, James. You had a good run here. James, you are comparing, and correct me if I'm wrong, brother, you are comparing Joe Morrissey to the plantation slave master.
What I'm saying is that
yes or no? Because you made references. Okay. Don't shy away from what you said, brother. And you are making this young lady a slave with no rights, no duties, and can't say no because she's at the mercy of the slave master.
The mercy of the slave master and
instead of being a slave master, then you're painting Joe Morrissey as a powerful, rich lawyer man with money and influence and all like that. But this young lady had the right to walk away and say, no, this was not slavery time.
That's right, but the mentality of the African American community, based on that cultural norms and the oppressions that's still present, still responds subconsciously to a force at play in this drama.
And you're saying that still is present and at play in today's world that you and I and others live in?
Yes, sir. We apply sociology and psychology and understand that equality actually started occurring around 1970 and 1980. A sufficient period of time has not passed to remove it, because Joe Morrison was born in 1957, and the cultural norms of our society indoctrinated him to believe that every white male is supposed to have our way with any African-American woman without consequences. That was the accepted norm of his childhood.
That's a very powerful statement, man. That's a powerful statement. Big charge. And I'm not saying it's not true, but big charge requires big evidence, man, on my show.
The historical evidence verifies that. If we study the historical data, the mixing of the races occurred by the white male taking advantage of the African female.
Oh yes, that
is
even
in the
no. You're too contemporary. The onslaught and the taking advantage of black females started when the ship pushed away from Africa.
Yes, sir.
It was oncoming because there were times when a young girl left Africa not pregnant, and when she got to her final destination, she was ready to have a baby, or she was already pregnant. So you're talking about the 60s and 70s. You're so much too contemporary. And you know what happened during slavery period. That's why you have this rainbow of color of black folk. You know, everybody from white as snow to black blue. You know, the different rainbows, and it didn't come because we were drinking dyed water, okay? It didn't come from that. So there is some history to that. I need Dr. Jeffries from the Ohio State University to be on here, and we're going to try to get him on to talk about that, okay? Thanks a lot, James. Appreciate it, man. Let's go to Trey. Trey, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Hey, Jack.
Hey.
A couple things. Just to finish up what you were saying, I'm like, color was broken down and spread out way before we got to America.
Yeah,
especially if life began in Africa.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's the mixture between the blackest African and the albino. But anyway, this guy I wanted to talk to you more.
Wait a minute. What did you say about the mixture of the African and the albino? What?
Because I'm saying, back then we had tribes of women. You know, women they like in the African tribes, and they had like they made babies. Like the one tribe might have, 1,000 women, and all their job was to do was make babies. And probably make crash for the men, the warriors out there.
Uh-huh.
And that's just genetics. Every every 10 million base pairs you have an error in the DNA, and that could be expressed as retardation, autism, or albinism. I'm saying so.
So what does all of that have to do with what we're talking about today?
That's because how do you think that anything black is dominant, white is recessive. White can't really come from black. I'm saying, but only in a genetic sense it can come from a genetic opposite.
So what does all of that have to? Wait a minute, Trey. What does all of that have to do with the issue we're talking about of the Marcy, the young girl, and the election? What does that have to do with all of that today?
You said something about color.
Yeah.
About how we are from black, blue to different race colors between black people. And I said that came before that. That was before. That just didn't happen in America. We were mixed up. As life began in Africa, there had to be some type of mixture.
I said that it began even before the ships were pushed away from the shores in Africa.
Exactly. Okay. Then I agree.
I said that.
Okay.
All right.
I just wanted to talk to you about. I just wanted to say my main reason to call was about the Jim Morrissey thing. I think that it wasn't. People said that it was sort of like a Jerry Springer thing, but I think it was a necessary forum. So this guy could get out, with the truth. And the fact that the girl came on the radio show, along with her mother talking on the phone, I'm like, she seemed very respectable. I believe the girl, but it seems like everybody that's called in, people, they talk, it's like they're talking beyond her. Like, it doesn't matter what she said. Then they're on this pregnancy thing. I'm like, the girl mentioned that she's young. So she probably messed with girls. That doesn't mean that she didn't mess with a guy. So how do you know that is not some young black dude out there around her age who's the father of that child? You know, no one ever talks about that. It's just it has to be Jim Morrissey's child. I don't think that she would get on TV. Or you know, I watched you on the webcam. I didn't see any of her actions didn't represent to me that she was lying.
Okay. All right.
So that's
all
right.
All right, Trey. Thanks a lot. Let's go to Nathan. Nathan, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Good morning, Jack.
Hey, man.
A few callers back gave a historical perspective, and you mentioned big charge, need big evidence.
Yes.
There's been several cases nationally that 18, 19, 20-year-old black African-American men have been charged with felonies and rapes and have to register as a sex offender for having sex with young white girls.
Right.
So, you know, you had a job, Jack, that you investigated sexual crimes. And it seems like you were trying to get the connection that as an employer, and not only an employer, but the owner of the company, a man 40 years your senior, you have a tremendous power over folks.
Tremendous.
And we cannot dismiss that.
Tremendous.
And that's the issue. It's not about what happened. I mean, it's a historical thing that we've got going here. What I think ties into the historical thing is the sentiment that no one says anything about.
Tell me about it.
That's where the historical piece comes in.
No, when you say no one says anything about it, go read the editorial in the Richmond Free Press last week. And I don't have the Richmond Free Press in front of me. But in that editorial, that Free Press paper said something that I thought was just absolutely tremendous. They said that if Joe Marcy had been a black man as a lawyer and had a white girl working in his office and was charged anywhere close to having sex or having a relationship with that young girl, he would have been put under the jail.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
They raised that issue.
I read that. And you're right.
And then there have been other folk. The Black Congressional Caucus raised the issue. No one has talked about the issue of race and this particular situation and the history of it and that kind of thing. But I have to defend the Richmond Free Press and the Black Caucus.
The article that they published by Saad Al-Amin. I mean, when I say you can't use absolutes, you never can.
Exactly.
But what I'm saying is, I'm going by the greatest show on the radio, the Jack Gravely Show.
Thank you.
The calls have been around.
Yes, and let me raise another issue in this. Suppose Joe Marcy was a white Republican, conservative, and everything else was the same.
It would be different in our community.
How would the community respond to that?
Oh, gosh.
Suppose Joe Marcy was a member of the Republican Party, and he happened to say he was a conservative, or whatever. Doesn't matter what his politics.
Guilty, yeah.
And pled guilty to this. What would black folk think out there then behind that? But because he's a Democrat and white and so-called liberal and Senate, suppose he was a white conservative, like what was the boy from South Carolina, late senator, what was the senator from South Carolina that hated black folk? A Strong Thurman that impregnated his 17 or 18-year-old housemate girl, and when he died, his daughter was like 40 or 50 years old, and everyone in South Carolina knew that he had fathered the child, a senator in the United States Senate, and no one spoke up about it. No one said anything about it.
Right.
So there is a standard. Strong Thurman fathered a black child by his black house, what do you call keeper, domestic?
Right.
By the domestic. And everybody in South Carolina knew it.
And
I don't say
really
everybody, many people in South Carolina.
It wasn't, like the guy earlier said, and it wasn't that out of character.
No. Oh, you go to the plantations. You read Vinergy's book about slavery. You read the late professor down at the Duke University that just died, a black professor, From Slavery to Freedom. You read his book about that. You read other books. You read Blasingham's book. You read, who was a professor at Howard University? Dr. Adams' research, a professor of the history department at Howard University back in the day. You read Dr. Edmonds from North Carolina Central University research on slavery and other books. The documentation was all there. And in fact, in some of the wills of former white plantation owners, they would free certain members of the slave group on their plantation that they had fathered. Mm-hmm. And there are documents, read Judge Leon Hickenbotham's In the Matter of Color book, and they would leave some of them land because they fathered that child during slavery.
Yeah.
Oh, and so it wasn't not unknown. That's clearly an issue that we know about.
Right. But Jack, one quick thing.
Yeah.
You've had some callers this morning.
You got to make it quick, man. I'm over break. You got to make it quick. Make it quick.
I really respect. But it seems as though in this day and time, symbolism is still good enough.
All right, thank you. Got to move. Break time. Jack Gravely Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you want more of Jack, stick around. He'll be right back on WLEE News Talk 990.
We have told you about Faith Sharon Daycare Center in Ashland, a daycare center with program staff and a facility that provides your loved ones with the best of care in a social setting that is safe and well managed. The Faith Sharon Daycare Center at 325 South Hill Carter Parkway in Ashland is a daycare center that will provide the very best for your family member. You can call them at area code 804-337-6680 or 307-0707. Faith Sharon Daycare Center is a home away from home. Games, walks, exercises, breakfast, lunch, and just good, positive social environment with the peers for your family members is a large part of what makes Faith Sharon Daycare Center successful. Visit them or call them at 337-6680 or 307-0707. You know, sometimes looking your best will require a little help. That's when Johnson's Beauty Salon at 402 North 2nd Street comes in. Johnson's Beauty Salon, a licensed professional salon, can provide you with the shampoo, hair trims, coloring, weaves, relaxer, flat iron, and all the other hair needs you would want. The shop personnel are all professional and dedicated to providing you the best service in the city. Johnson's Beauty Salon, open from Tuesday through Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The telephone number is area code 804-649-2572. They're open Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Walk-ins are always welcome. Appointments after 5 p.m. are required on weekdays. Call Johnson's Beauty Salon at 649-2572.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's the Breathe Easies with another one of your favorite hits.
Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke around the kids in the house. Don't smoke in the car. Don't smoke in the house. Don't break my heart with your secondhand smoke in the kids. It can trigger the asthma.
Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as making your home and car smoke-free zones. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Up next, well, what do you know? The Breathe Easies with another hit song, Vacuum Up the Floor.
Vacuum up the floor. Vacuum up the floor. Yeah! Vacuum up the floor. The asthma trigger is no more. You gotta vacuum up the furniture and vacuum in the cracks because the dander and the dust can give kids asthma attacks.
Simple steps can help your kids breathe easier. Vacuum up the floor to keep your house free of dust, dander, and dust mites. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
There's been a rumor going around my school lately about a new draft, so I decided to check out the facts. Turns out, there is no draft, and if there ever was going to be one, we'd have plenty of notice. But you know what else I found out? Young men like me still need to register with Selective Service when we turn 18. Why register when there's no draft? Well, first off, it's the law. Guys have had to register for almost 60 years. Second, if you're a guy living in the U.S. and you don't register, you get shut out of important opportunities like college loans, job training, good jobs, and even a driver's license in most states. But I guess for me, I registered because it's the right thing to do. Things are crazy in this world right now. And if the country ever does decide it needs me, I'm gonna do my part.
Guys, Register with Selective Service when you turn 18. Go to sss.gov or your local post office.
Now, back to the Jack Gravely Show on WLEE News Talk 990.
This creation, information to the evils of the world, and spending most of their lives living in the future paradise, and spending most of their lives.
Thank you very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. Let me make it clear to my listeners out there. James, the caller that talked about the historical, psychological, physical rape of black women in America, it was no lie and no joke. There's documented evidence of the inner relationships, and it was always a power relationship. So by me making a statement that big charges require big evidence, not to shut him down, is just to give me more information. That's what it's about. We know the history of America. We know the history. Well, no, let me retract that. Some of us know. Some of us understand. Some of us have read. Some of us have been taught the real history of America. And it's all replete. And I know it may offend some of you when James comes on the show and makes a reference to Joe Marcy in the context of a historical slave boss and the taking of whomever he wanted. Documentation. Go read some of the slave narratives. Go read some of the wills. Go read some of the research of some of the political scientists, historians, social scientists that's researched the area. Go read some of the stuff. That's why somebody in South Chesterfield may be related to somebody in Mosby Court. Okay? You get my drift? That's why. And in fact, there was a story, and it was sort of squashed very early in the Obama administration. President Barack Obama's wife was tracing her lineage, and it led to a white family. And they wrote about it a little bit, and then they dropped off. How you want to present this to the world? So let's not think what James is saying, that he's crazy. You may not like talking about it. It may be one of those issues that you only talk about in the kitchen with all the doors closed and the kids in their room. But if you know anything about slavery and the history of America, and I have heard that quietly said. Some people, well, we don't want to bring it up. Yes, there have been some comparisons with Joe Marcy and that era in America. Whether you want to admit it, whether you like it, or whether you're saying, Jack Gravely, you don't know what you're talking about, call me and confront me with it. Call me on it. Call me on it. So James was not crazy. He was not off point. One of the things, when someone usually calls in here and has a real good topic, I try to beat them and push them back and see how strong they are with it. Yeah, that's one of my tactics. I like that. Just like one of the best calls I received this morning was a guy who said that I made a joke out of it. He was passionately committed to what he had to say. And I was passionate, committed to what I had to defend. No problems. Not going to throw rocks. Not going to curse him, call him name. He has his point of view. And that is something that we miss so much in America. That many of us miss. That simply because someone disagrees with you doesn't make them a racist. Doesn't make them a bad person. Doesn't make them a dumb or stupid or whatever. It makes them a person who, first of all, who disagrees with you. Now, when you throw the facts, history, documented, not my words, but others, and research that's documented, then that's another issue. And then there is a growing number of people in America, even in the face of facts and documented information, still won't believe, still won't agree. It's like saying that Ryan is a producer here at WLEE Radio and attends VCU. I show you his transcript. I introduce you to his professors and teachers. Oh, no, he doesn't go to VCU. No. No. Still won't believe it. He's sitting right here with me now, running my board. No, no, I don't believe I don't believe he produced it. He's sitting right here. You have people that frozen, that so much in denial because it does not fit their scenario or fit their beliefs, and they're in denial. Complete denial. Complete denial. Complete denial. Even in the face of facts and information, scholarly reports, data. Even the person themselves will step up and say, I am the person who stole the car. No, they didn't. You know, it's this kind of thing that simply because a person has a different political view from you, a different racial view from you, a different a sexual view from you, a different religious view from you, nothing they say is correct. Nothing they say is right. Nothing they say is reasonable. That is one of the arguments that I press against conservatives. All Democrats are bad. All Democrats hate America. All Democrats hate God. All Democrats. It's crazy. And I read an article that said individuals who push and maintain that point, they have to, because if they allow anything different from what they believe and what they taught to crack in, they crack. Their whole scenario falls. They can't let anything in. They can't let any daylight in. They must always be in political and racial darkness, because if you let sunlight in, it blinds them. Jack Gravely Show. Stay with me.
Running away with me, it was just my imagination. Running away with me. Soon we'll be married and raise a family.
The Jack Gravely Show.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tums. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
Does your business thrive by serving other businesses? Would you like a healthy, steady flow of B2B leads that are customized to grow sales? Hoovers has developed a best-in-class lead generation tool that makes it easy for you to find targeted leads for your business. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to get the right leads fast. Try it today for free. Get 50 free leads and a 24-hour trial. Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
I'm in almost every school bus and classroom. I go to school with your children. We say the Pledge of Allegiance together. You've seen me around the neighborhood, and you've told me I'm a pretty good kid. Well, I'm one out of every 4 children in America, and I'm struggling with hunger. This problem is closer than you think. My teacher tells me we could grow up and be whatever we want. I want to grow up and be someone who doesn't go to bed hungry. There's enough food in this country to feed everyone. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank for ways to help. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for kids like me, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
For news from the worlds of home maintenance, travel, vehicles, and investing, stay tuned every Saturday to News Talk 990, WLEE Richmond.
CBS News, I'm Steve Kathan. France is cracking down on hate speech and backers of terror with 54 arrests since last week's Paris attack. Al-Qaeda in Yemen took responsibility today for the deadly assaults.
His name is Nasser al-Ansi, and in the video he claims his group ordered, organized, and financed the attack.
The fact that they've made this sort of very blunt statement about responsibility would suggest that there is some sort of hand that they've had in this operation.
Terror expert Raffaello Pantucci says the other attack on a Jewish supermarket appears to have been less well organized than the Charlie Hebdo killings, suggesting that gunman may have been more of a lone wolf, despite his claim he was with ISIS. Vicky Barker, CBS News.
The CBS's Elaine Cobb in Paris says 3 million copies of Charlie Hebdo's first publication since the attacks came and went in the blink of an eye.
The newsstands were busy saying, look, we've been promised we will get more during the day, we'll get more tomorrow, we'll have it for at least 2 weeks. We will have copies for you. But, you know, the people who got up very early were thinking, but I want mine now.
And some are being sold on eBay. With the Paris attack all over the news, the attorney for Johar Tsarnaev tried to get jury selection in the Boston Marathon bomb trial delayed. This morning, a judge refused.
What the judge is saying with this ruling is he wants this trial to proceed. He thinks that jurors can continue to try to be fair to the defendant, even though the Paris attack happened. That people's perceptions of Tsarnaev are not going to change so much as a result of what happened overseas.
The CBS News senior legal analyst Andrew Cohn. Overseas, a naval ship spotted the Air Asia 8501 fuselage in the Java Sea. Reporter Jack Hewson in Jakarta says a recovery plan is now being drawn up.
It may be that it's too heavy to bring it up all at once, and if that is the case, divers will need to go into the wreckage and pull out bodies one by one before they then try to lift the rest of the fuselage.
The bodies of 50 of the 162 crash victims have been found. Astronauts left the U.S. side of the space station earlier today, fearing a possible cooling system leak. CBS's Peter King.
NASA is saying that this increasingly looks like a false alarm, that there were 2 or 3 readings that combined made it look like there was a leak of ammonia coolant. The astronauts did everything they were supposed to do, acted quickly to get on the Russian side and seal the hatches. But again, the space agency says there is no hard evidence that there was actually a leak.
In Washington, the House votes today on a measure to block President Obama's immigration action. California Republican Kevin McCarthy.
Do we weaken our Constitution by allowing the executive to legislate, or do we defend the most fundamental laws of our democracy?
North Carolina Democrat David Price says the move could have wider impact.
Adoption of this amendment would sabotage the Homeland Security funding bill and undermine our nation's security at a time of great danger.
The FDA has approved a new device for obese adults. It targets pathways between the brain and stomach. The Dow is down 187. This is CBS News.
Rely on Power Service this winter. When the temperature drops below 30 degrees, add Diesel Fuel Supplement plus Cetane Boost in the white bottle every time you fill up. It prevents fuel from gelling and protects against fuel filter icing. But what do you do when diesel is already gelled or iced up? That's when you need Power Service Diesel 911 in the red bottle to restore the flow of fuel and get your engine running again. Learn more at powerservice.com. Get Power Service at auto and farm and ranch stores nationwide.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a 1,000,000 bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts. Don't miss this limited time offer. We're going to let 1,000,000 people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts, and also receive free shipping when you call right now. Call 800-393-6272. That's 800-393-6272.
Here's a look at area headlines on WLEE News Talk 990. A wintry mix predicted by forecasters is responsible for delaying school openings today. Officials of many local area schools postponed classes by 2 hours today for safety reasons. The possibility of freezing precipitation is expected to continue until midday, with afternoon temperatures approaching 32 degrees. Former Delegate Joe Morrissey is regaining his District 74 seat in a special election. Morrissey won yesterday despite resigning his seat and currently serving a jail sentence for having an inappropriate relationship with a teenage staff member. The University of Virginia is reinstating a fraternity implicated in last fall's Rolling Stone article on sexual assault. Police say they're still investigating the claims, but have found no evidence of a gang rape at Phi Kappa Psi. The story unraveled and Rolling Stone apologized for mistakes in the piece. With your latest newscast, I'm Billy Flynn on WLEE News Talk 990.
Now, the weather forecast from News Talk 990.
Today, cloudy, a 40% chance of ice, high of 33. Tonight, cloudy, a 40% chance of ice, low of 27. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 46. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, low of 29. Friday, clear skies, high of 49. Friday night, clear skies, low of 25. Saturday, clear skies, high of 49. Sunday, cloudy, rain likely, high of 53. That's your latest weather from WLEE News Talk 990.
Maybe it's time to take a fresh look at everything we thought we knew about landing a great job. For instance, perhaps great careers start at the middle school science fair instead of at the job fair. Because the fact is, the jobs of the future will be heavily geared towards science, technology, engineering, and math. In other words, STEM. So if you're a student, talk to your school counselor about STEM. If you're a parent, talk to your kids. A public service message from America's Navy.
You are now entering the world of Jack Gravely, a talk show you can participate in, believe in, and a host you can disagree with. So sit back and listen to the edgy, entertaining, and educational Grand Central station of talk radio in beautiful downtown Richmond, Virginia. The Jack Gravely Show begins right now.
Thank you so very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show, coming to you from WLEE News Talk 990 in Richmond, Virginia. We're here at our 11 o'clock hour. We'd like to welcome our friends down at WKQA 1110 Freedom Radio there in Norfolk, Virginia, on a sort of icy, a little snowy, not very much snow, but it's icy, it's cold, it's slippery, it's wet outside. Welcome to the Jack Gravely Show, coming to you from beautiful downtown Richmond, Virginia. My telephone number is 788-0990. My toll-free number is 877-953-3990. We've been discussing the Joe Marcy situation. I brought up the issue of the L'Enfant Plaza fire on the Metro in Washington, D.C., and I wish everything is well. I rode the train the 14 years that I worked in Washington, D.C. at the Federal Communications Commission. I did not ride it every day, but I rode it enough. That was the first stop that I always made coming in from Virginia to Washington, D.C., L'Enfant Plaza. L'Enfant Plaza. And used to eat lunch there, shop there, bought ties there. They had a nice tie shop there. And had met friends walking through the door one day, walked into an old football buddy from college from back in the day at the plaza. And it's a heavy traffic, a lot of shops, a good spot, a good place to eat. And that's where the fire was on the Metro in Washington. I would still ride the Metro train in Washington, D.C. It was clean. It was quiet. It was efficient. It was on time. It would take you places in the District of Columbia that you didn't need a car. And in fact, read statistics recently that 25 to 30% of the people who live in Washington, D.C. don't own a car because of public transit is just that good in Washington. And it is. You live in Washington, D.C., basically. You can go almost anywhere with a combination of riding the city bus and the Metro. I love the Metro. It was a pleasure to just get out of your apartment, walk up to a bus stop. I would catch a bus, 2 stops, go down to the Pentagon. I used to catch the Metro every day at the Pentagon. Pentagon has one of the largest Metro stops in that area. And you go down underground at the Pentagon and catch the train across the river, under the Potomac River, and come up at L'Enfant Plaza. And I would ride. Sometime I would walk from L'Enfant to the office that I worked in. And then at one time I lived in another area, used to come through Farragut's West, a Metro stop. So a lot of those Metro stops close to Virginia in D.C., I used to ride and get off all the time. And when I heard about the fire at the Metro station there in Washington, I was very concerned because I still have friends who live there. They still ride the train. A lot of people ride the trains and ride the buses in Northern Virginia and especially in the Arlington, Alexandria area. You're right across the river from D.C., so I hope everything works out fine. The thing that bothered me was that they stated it took the fire department 40 minutes to get to the metro station. Well, there is a fire station right down the street on Main Avenue, maybe 7, 8, 9 blocks from the metro stop, maybe 10 blocks from the metro stop. And unless it was traffic or the construction, I know they're doing work on the waterfront there on Main Avenue in Washington, D.C. That may have had something to do with it. But when I heard that it took 40 minutes for the a fire department to reach that metro station, I was a little concerned about that. But I would rest assured, and I would give this testimony anywhere, that the metro in Washington, D.C. is safe, convenient, relatively cheap for what you're going to get out of your money, and it'll take you places in the District of Columbia. We've been talking about that. We've been talking about the roads and weather here this morning, and several other issues that I had on my agenda sheet this morning. I had on my agenda sheet Woody Allen and Bill Cosby. I had on my agenda sheet censorship and the West. Should countries, terrorist countries around the world, to include Korea, should those countries dictate what Americans write about or what Americans read or what you have access to or what you can say? Has the internet put a damper on freedom of speech? Has the internet and terrorism trumped the Constitution and the First Amendment? Just a question I'm throwing out there to my listeners. And should, simply because you have the power to offend and to satirize the leader, the prophet, the icon of one's religion, should you do it? Simply because you have the power. I think with power comes responsibility also. Just an open question I'm asking here this morning, religiously. And I understand that in America, people can say what they want to about Jesus Christ, God, religion. It's no crime. No one burns down your house. But there are religious extremes on both ends. You know, they shoot people that are for abortions. They kill people. They burn up people, houses. They assault people. So don't tell me that Christianity is all tolerant of everything, too, in the name of God. They do it in the name of God, too. But should a terrorist or should someone from another country have the power, the right, the authority to tell you what you can print in your newspapers, even if it is offensive to their religion? Should they? And what duty is it on you, simply because you have the power, the legal right and authority to do it in a country like America, should you do it? I think that's a big issue too. Let's go to Stuart. Stuart, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Jack.
Yes, sir.
I got something pertaining to that right on. You talk about religion and freedom of expression.
Now, don't hurt me this morning, Stuart.
I'm not, Jack. I'm not.
Okay.
You know when they used to do Amos and Andy? They used to do Little Black Sambo, and they used to depict black men eating watermelon as Uncle Tom. We found that offensive. Was that like freedom of expression when they did something like that?
Yes, that was freedom of expression. Yes, it was. You may not have liked that expression, but they had the right to do that. They and still in some countries, like in Japan and Korea, they still have those kinds of comic figures. Big lip, bubba nose, black people and black, dark skin and all like that. Very degrading, but that's their right. In America, they did that in America. And in fact, in many cases, in my opinion, that kind of thing has only been cleaned up a little bit. There's still, instead of a white folk with blackface in some cases, in most cases doing it, what they have now, some of the shows that some of the black folks sign on on television in America, to me, is just a step up from that slapstick stuff.
Down in Chaco Bottom, didn't they have a picture of Obama on the wall or something, a joke or something to the effect?
They had what a lot of people, to including yours truly, had a very degrading picture painted of President Barack Obama on the wall. Yes, down there. They're right. They're right.
So you're saying that when Amos and Andy was on TV and Rochester, whoever this guy was, we found it so offensive, but we couldn't make them take it off because that was freedom of expression.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
Exactly. Yes. They had a freedom of expression. And let me tell you, what took it off was not the protestation of it. Some of it was by black folk and the NAACP. What made it take it off is that other folk began to start not listening to it, and the civil rights movement moved in and moved ahead, and it didn't become profitable. I can tell you this, if it was profitable as it was back in the day, today, it would still be there.
Yeah, I know, because, even with Gone with the Wind, they had that woman on it. Man, I used to feel embarrassed to see it on TV, but it's what it was, man.
In America, the Constitution says you have freedom of expression. Now, my freedom of expression doesn't mean that I can go out and say and do anything. Doesn't mean that I can call fire out in a crowded theater. It doesn't mean that I can go around and call Stewart an assassin or assassination or a terrorist without having. I cannot damage your reputation without facts or the truth. But, I can say I don't like Stewart. I can say I don't want Stewart living beside me. Yeah, I can. It's my freedom of. I can put lipstick. I can put somebody. It may be offensive to black folk on TV. They have some black folk with some shows I think is offensive to black folk on TV.
So you can bring a picture of me to Pocahontas and put a tail on me, and I can't say a word.
Right. Yeah, I can draw a cartoon of you with a tail over on and put it on Pocahontas Island, and you better not mess with me.
All right, Jack.
All right, man. All right. Thank you. Freedom of expression in America. Jack Gravely Show. Stay with me.
Love can be bitter. Love can be sweet.
Jack will be right back. Call into the show at 788-0990.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. They are diverse, unique, from all corners of the country, and, thanks to their common experience, a family for life. But whether they served in lands far away or communities close to home, some of these men and women may face difficult times or even crisis. But sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all for veterans, service members, Reserve, and National Guard. Thankfully, friends, family, and communities are standing by members and veterans now more than ever. We're all in this together. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. During times of crisis, reach out and call. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1, or chat online at veteranscrisisline.net or text 838-255.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
I'm Sally, a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs. Excuse me, hi. What do you think this place needs?
I'd like to see more parking.
More playgrounds.
Free movies.
Oh, that's easy. Better restaurants.
And you, what do you think this place needs?
This place? Oh, more ice cream trucks.
Okay. How about you?
Wi-Fi everywhere?
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
Oh, that's way better.
Now that you mention it.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org. Because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market. Always looking to invest in a good opportunity. Something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future? The future of kids. Like a stock. Not the kind of stock where you invest to make money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps students like me go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. I could be the first college graduate in my family, the first district attorney from my neighborhood. And if I'm the first, then maybe there will be a second and a third. This can really be the start of something. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Now, more with Jack Gravely on WLEE News Talk 990.
Thank you very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. Let's go to Michael down in Virginia Beach, and I assume, Michael, you're listening to us on WKQA out of Norfolk.
That's exactly right, and this is only my second time hearing your show. I listened yesterday, and so glad to have you here in the Hampton Roads area.
Thank you very much for calling.
The question of blasphemy laws, every religion has them, and I think it's the major issue that we're talking about here when we talk about censorship on the Internet. Shall we give respect to the blasphemy laws of various religions? The secularists say no. But as a practical matter, we know that situations like Boko Haram and the massacres going on in northern Nigeria revolve around issues of blasphemy between Christians and Muslims. We know that in Central America and South America, there is great tension right now between Roman Catholics and Protestants or evangelicals. So the question of whether or not we can convince the world to accept a secular viewpoint which says anybody and everybody can insult the God of the Bible in any way that he wishes to do so, you're not going to get a unanimous submission to the no-God religion of the secularists. That's not going to happen. That's why we have situations like we just saw in France. That's why we are seeing a Islamic State movement in what is called the Levant. So to continue with this secularist viewpoint is totally unrealistic.
Michael, let me interrupt you and ask you a question. Don't the secularists have a right to state their position, state what they believe, to publish what they believe, to print what they believe, to voice what they believe?
They don't have the right to assume that everybody else is going to kowtow to their no-God system and ethic. That's not going to happen.
But do they have a right to say that and to do that and to promote that and to preach that? Just as you may have the right to preach God is your Savior, that you have a right to preach what you believe.
Of course, everyone has the right,
okay,
the freedom to blaspheme, but they're going to pay a consequence for it depending on what the local religious makeup happens to be. What the Muslims of the so-called radical persuasion are telling us is that they are not going to be moved into this system of total secularization that Washington, D.C. is pushing.
Oh, wait a minute, Michael. Michael, that is a big charge. You're saying Washington, who in Washington, D.C. is pushing this secularization? Who's pushing this? Secularism.
There are many figures that could be named. Rather than name persons, we all know the theme. The theme, quite
Are the politicians in Washington? The government in Washington? Who? I mean, you can be general in your statement. You don't have to call out the name of the person that many say possibly be doing this in Washington. I mean, is the government doing this? Are the political parties doing this? Are the K Street people doing this? Are the lobbyists doing this? Who's doing this?
All of the above that you just mentioned are urging us to this point of political correctness where we will say nothing offensive about any group, such as the Sodomite group, for example. You can't speak out against sodomy. Now, to say that...
Oh, come on, Michael, that is an overreach. People speak out against that all the time.
Well, my point is the movement is to have it so that that won't happen. That is being considered to be put on the agenda, on the global lawmaking agenda, as a crime. To speak out against sodomy will be a crime if they have their way.
Okay.
Now,
Mike, I'm going to have to let you go. My phones are loaded up, and you've had a good 5 minutes here. I appreciate you calling me from WKQA territory down in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Thanks for calling, man.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Jeff in Richmond. Jeff, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Hey, Jack. My name is Jeff. I'm a Muslim, and I want to kind of start off by saying that, speaking for all the Muslims, what happened in Paris was just ridiculous. It was atrocious, and it strongly goes against what my religion preaches. With that said, I believe that people have the right to say what they want. They have a right to print what they want. But that does not mean that everything that we say or do is without consequence. What I mean by that is, Jack, that, I have a right to say anything about your mother, your sister, your daughter, your wife. But chances are that if I was to say something bad about those women in your life, those highly esteemed women in your life, you're probably going to punch me in the mouth.
You're going to get a fight from me, yeah. Right.
So my point is that, people have the right to say and do whatever they want. But, when somebody mocks something as close to us, there's going to be a reaction.
Okay.
Now, in my opinion, the ideal solution should have been diplomatic, and there was a lot of diplomatic pushback from the Muslim community over this magazine.
Uh-huh.
And I think that was the appropriate channel. And the other thing that I kind of want to put that out there for your audience is that in Islam, we don't only prohibit images and visualization of Muhammad. It's all prophets. We show that respect to Jesus. We show that respect to Abraham. We show that respect to Moses.
So wait a minute, Jeff. Let me make sure I understand and my listeners understand what you're saying. You're saying not only is there a prohibition of drawing or having a picture or facsimile of the prophet, that also applies to Jesus the Christ.
Absolutely. I mean, nowhere in the Muslim world will you see images of Jesus, but you won't see images of Muhammad.
So
it doesn't work that way. That respect is universal, that all prophets of God, all messengers of God, that includes Jesus, Abraham, Moses, Joseph, Muhammad, you do not visualize them out of sheer respect.
So I would assume, and you help me with this. I would assume then many Muslims have a body shock when they come to America and they see these pictures of Jesus Christ hanging in every living room and every place and all like that. What kind of reaction do they
Well, the thing is, I'm originally from Pakistan, and
Okay.
I actually went to a Catholic school in Pakistan, and, I have a lot of Christian friends. And
You are a Muslim and you went to a Catholic school.
in Pakistan.
Pakistan, okay.
And, so I do understand that it is coming from a good place. It's coming from that, hey, Jesus is our Savior,
Yeah.
and, it's for purposes of adornment. And so I understand the intention behind that. And, one thing that I will say is that as Americans, because I consider myself to be an American, that there is a complete shift in how Americans view God. For example, if you look at the show Family Guy, very famous show, I actually used to love that show, but I stopped watching it because how they portray God. Do you know in that show they portray God as somebody who hangs out with women wearing bikinis, who smokes pot? They actually show Jesus, involved in like shootouts with Chris Tucker. And I understand that it's all fun and games, it's all lighthearted. From a Muslim perspective, you show God and his messengers this incredible amount of respect where we could never, ever imagine putting God in cartoons and showing them in an insulting manner.
Even if it is in fun, even if it is in comedy.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
If I was to joke around about your mother, would you laugh about it?
No,
Probably not.
no, I hear you.
So my point is that, I have a right to say and do whatever I want, but there are certain boundaries that you should just never, ever cross. And I will end on this on my end, is that whatever happened in Paris, it was ridiculous, and all the Muslims, strong majority of Muslims, strictly forbid it and condemn what happened in Paris. That does not represent Muslims, and it does not represent our religion.
Okay, got to go on that, Jeff. Thanks a lot for your call and your comment. Frank and others, hold on. I got to take a break. I'll be right back. You're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Stick around. The Jack Gravely Show will be right back on WLEE News Talk 990.
Hey, it's Guy Fieri, and before the game, it's all about the tailgating. Burgers, sausage and peppers, onions, hot wings, you name it. But come game time, if you got yourself a whole bunch of heartburn, roll out the Rolaids.
Don't let heartburn keep you from enjoying the things you love. Rolaids gets you back in the action fast. Its dual-active formula neutralizes more acid than Tums. For indigestion and heartburn, get rapid relief with Rolaids.
Rolaids? Now that's how you spell relief.
Use as directed. Acid neutralization may not correlate with symptom relief.
Does your business thrive by serving other businesses? Would you like a healthy, steady flow of B2B leads that are customized to grow sales? Hoovers has developed a best-in-class lead generation tool that makes it easy for you to find targeted leads for your business. You'll be amazed at how easy it is to get the right leads fast. Try it today for free. Get 50 free leads and a 24-hour trial. Just call 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures, a stock for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Now, more with Jack Gravely on WLEE News Talk 990.
Hey, we are back in the house this morning. Let's go up to Frank. And I'm just saying thankful for my listeners down at WKQA 1110 Freedom Radio in the Hampton Roads area. Frank in Richmond, Virginia. You on the show, man.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing fine, Frank.
I'm just listening to this the parsimony and the justification where we compare, the very few Christians that are radicalized, to say the least, or whatever, as far as abortions and killing people, and trying to compare this to this radical Islam movement, with the print journalism of a cartoon and how offensive it is. When I just got to remind you, still, we got these kids' cartoons that are in the Middle East that legit, straight out say, kill Christians. These are for kids. They say kill Christians. They glorify this stuff, To say that there's an equal balance going on here is laughable, to say the least.
But you just heard a Muslim just say that is not what their faith, their religion teach and believe.
Well, if that's the case, then why isn't there a widespread boycott of these cartoons that are being shown to kids that teach terrorism, that teach the hatred of Christians? And where are the Christian cartoons that are saying to go kill Muslims?
Well, could it
when
be
Muslims walk right into a town and the first thing they do is go round up the Christians and kill them without a question, without anything, just kill them.
Okay, could it be?
And we're worried about.
Let me get a question in, please, Frank, and I'll let you come back. Frank, could it be because certain individuals have hijacked or taken that religion in a way that it was not meant to be, or written to be, or practiced to be? Could that be a possibility?
Well, when you say certain individuals, you marginalize it even further to say that this is just a very few part. If it was certain individuals, we wouldn't have the problem that we have right now. Because if it's certain individuals, it would be easily stamped out, and there would be a confrontation between these certain individuals and other individuals against the majority. But this is not a certain individual situation.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, Jack? It's ridiculous to sit here and compare the acts of these terrorists. And I'm not just talking, and France, to me, is marginal. I'm talking about what's going on in Africa. I'm talking about what's going on in the Middle East when they march right into a town and kill everybody.
I understand, Frank, there are over a billion Muslims in the world.
And the 10% of that billion is millions.
Well,
that's not individual.
Where do you get your 10% number as being terrorists or people that are
they
doing
say
this?
8%. They say 8 to 10% of the Muslim population is radicalized, right? That's fact.
Wait a minute.
Even if it's 4%, that's still millions.
Well, that's not a billion. That's far from the large majority.
So millions is okay, right? Millions is fine.
No. Anyone
that's a lot
who
of
shoots
people. The population of this country is in the millions.
Frank, I will not and ever defend the right to go in and shoot down harmless, unarmed men, women, and children in the slaughter. That's terrorist. That's murder. Right. Can't defend that.
I'm not saying you are, Jack, but I'm just saying when we marginalize and put this in that context where we defend it by saying, well, Christians do this, which those acts
so
are,
for the
are
work,
petty.
let's say for
those
the work,
so
for the work of 100,000 or 300 or 500,000 people, you condemn the entire religion.
No, I'm not condemning the entire religion, Jack. I never said I condemned the entire religion. What I'm saying is the justification of what's going on by the majority of that religion to say, hey, we don't agree with it, but look what you guys are doing, to compare that, to use that in comparison to what's really going on, to me is laughable, especially when you can say, do not insult my God by printing a cartoon, but at the same time, we're over here showing cartoons to kids talking about kill the Zionists, kill the Christians, and no Christians or Zionists are out there actively going into towns and killing Muslim people and Muslim children and women and children and selling women and children into slavery.
And any of that you just named cannot defend it, condemn it. Got to move on. Thanks a lot,
right,
Frank.
Jack.
Appreciate your call and your comment. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jack Gravely Show. We've had our break, right? Yeah, we've had our break. We're going up to about 20 minutes before the hour. Jack Gravely Show coming to you at 788-0990. My toll-free number, 877-953-3990. And again, I got to push the people down at WKQA 1110 Freedom Radio in the Hampton Roads area. Feel free to join the discussion and debate. We got a toll-free number. If you can't get the toll-free number, you can call us at 1-804-788-0990, and then we have a toll-free number, 877-953-3990, here on the Jack Gravely Show. And simply because you can do something, simply because you can print an offensive cartoon or message or picture or whatever about a religious figure leader, should you do it? Let's go to Gene. Gene, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Just playing devil's advocate here, but when a drone drops a bomb or a B-52, whatever, drops a bomb and and kills a village in Iraq or in Iran, or not Iran, but in Syria or Kurdistan, wherever, Afghanistan, they look at that as being Christians murdering thousands or hundreds or dozens of Muslims at one time. Sorry, Frank, but, there are Christians out there that are killing in mass quantities.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Gene. Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a discussion that I think needs to be held not only on this show but on other shows, and let folk voice their opinion or voice their point of views. Simply because you have a right to do this, shouldn't you do it? I understand that the Charlie paper in France, in Paris, has printed and sold out over 1 million copies. And on the front of it is a picture of the prophet, and that everybody is buying, not everyone, but many, many people buying the paper there. And I don't think we're anywhere even at the beginning of this whole issue, and we're nowhere at the end of it. This is an issue that's going to be with us, and I think it's an issue worth discussing. And I like the dialogue that's coming from different quarters. Simply because you disagree with someone doesn't make someone a radical or a terrorist, doesn't make someone a racist. It makes them having a different view. I like those different views, and I think radio shows should be strong enough, man and woman enough, to open up airways and let people voice those opinions. I'm not going to get into name calling. I'm going to defend what I believe. I know what I know. I will defend what I know, and I will step up to the plate to what I know and what I feel. Willard, you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Jack.
Yes, Willard.
It's easy to talk about rights. We've gone into this conversation before. I hear, the black community talking about their rights to this. I listen to the NRA talk about their rights to this.
Well, don't they have rights, Willard?
Hey,
don't they have rights, man?
That's the old media. That's the old talk show thing, and throwing out to everybody rights this, rights that.
Come on, Willard, don't throw me to the dogs, man.
Hey,
it's only Wednesday, man. Friday you can throw me to the dogs, but not today, man. Come on.
Where's that other oral word that nobody talks about?
I talk about responsibility, yes.
Where, Jack?
Yeah.
All I hear is rights. I mean, this is my right to have a bazooka so I can blow somebody up because they said something I didn't like. That's my right.
Wait a minute. Willard, isn't that what America all about, man? Isn't that what America all about? Isn't America all about your rights?
Well, John Wayne said that. I mean, John Wayne.
America, man.
Yeah, that's right.
This America. I have a right. I have a right to do whatever I want to do in America.
That is so right. And now, guess what?
What?
We are facing the consequences of many, 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 many years of that idea of we Americans, we can do whatever we want. And now the consequences are coming because of globalization, especially because of the media, because of Twitter, because of Facebook. You talked about some of the old political cartoons and things of this sort in the past.
Yes.
Well, that was true. I mean, I said some of the cartoons of Lincoln were unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
But they were cartoons in newspapers. The majority of people probably never even saw them. Now you've got a situation where people do see it, and people can get a rating.
It's on the internet. It's on Facebook. It's on Twitter. It's all over.
It was a very interesting. It was, for me personally, it was very interesting. I watched Charles Barkley and Shaq and what's his name, Smith.
Yeah.
Talked about Ferguson, and they talked about the problems that they had as black men and the police stopping them. And their conversation was so interesting. But the key to it, as far as I was concerned, was the tone of the conversation. There were no inflammatory words used. And today, people like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity and Rachel Maddow, the words that are used in the media today are so inflammatory.
I agree. I agree.
The consequences. I mean, we are seeing the consequences of that, and it's a gradual thing.
But Willard, my comeback to that is that you and American people, if it's not inflammatory, if it's not over the top, if it's not controversial, you don't want to look at it. You won't buy. You won't support. Not only that, the big owners, the big monopolistic corporations in America won't put you on. You better be inflammatory. You better make it, and because it feeds the gut. And see, you will say that, but you are one of those Americans that would sit by and sit back and look and peep through the window shades and peep through the door and see what's on TV. It is because of what you American people demand.
I don't know that I totally agree with that, Jack. I think you have a real good point, but my feeling is, and again, 72-year-old white guy.
Yeah. Not bad. You're not bad. You're not bad. You got to make it fast. I got to go to break.
But I don't know. I think that people are getting tired of that now. What percentage are getting tired of it? I don't know.
Okay, got to let that be the last word. Got to get out here and go to break on the Jack Gravely Show. Stay with me. Be right back.
But you're the girl. She fooled me this time. She acted like I was the last thing on her mind. I would like to start all over again. Baby, can I change my mind?
Jack will be back after a few messages on WLEE News Talk 990.
We have told you about Faith Sharon Daycare Center in Ashland, a daycare center with program staff and a facility that provides your loved ones with the best of care in a social setting that is safe and well managed. The Faith Sharon Daycare Center at 325 South Hill Carter Parkway in Ashland is a daycare center that will provide the very best for your family member. You can call them at area code 804-337-6680 or 307-0707. Faith Sharon Daycare Center is a home away from home. Games, walks, exercises, breakfast, lunch, and just good, positive social environment with the peers for your family members is a large part of what makes Faith Sharon Daycare Center successful. Visit them or call them at 337-6680 or 307-0707. You know, sometimes looking your best will require a little help. That's when Johnson's Beauty Salon at 402 North 2nd Street comes in. Johnson's Beauty Salon, a licensed professional salon, can provide you with the shampoo, hair trims, coloring, weaves, relaxer, flat iron, and all the other hair needs you would want. The shop personnel are all professional and dedicated to providing you the best service in the city. Johnson's Beauty Salon, open from Tuesday through Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. The telephone number is area code 804-649-2572. They're open Saturdays from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Walk-ins are always welcome. Appointments after 5 p.m. are required on weekdays. Call Johnson's Beauty Salon at 649-2572.
Welcome back to The Cat Show. Up next, we have Nico. Nico is a member of the Shelter Pet Group.
That's right. A group known especially for their sunspot sleeping, ball chasing, leg rubbing, couch purring, bed leaping, and of course, companionship.
Wonderful. And what breed would you say Nico is?
I'd have to go with a tabbyish Persian kind of mix.
Tremendous cat.
I'd also like to point out her coat's wonderful mix of colors. Is it black, gray, gray-black, brown?
Somewhere in between.
Indeed.
You know, it's always special when we get to see a cat like this.
Just look how she struts.
It's like she owns the place.
And how she's so incredibly cute in her indifference to commands.
A strong-willed feline.
Ah, and see how she curls up and cuddles her person.
The pitch on her purring is simply perfect.
Nice one.
I know. Fantastic cat.
Fantastic indeed. But really the best way to know an amazing shelter pet like Nico is to meet one.
Visit theshelterpetproject.org today. Adopt. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
For live streaming audio of The Jack Gravely Show, log on to WLEE990.am.
Baby, can I change my mind? I just want to change my mind. Baby, let me change my mind. As I took those steps.
Thank you very much for staying with me on the Jack Gravely Show. Let's go up to Louisa. Larry, you on the Jack Gravely Show.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gravely. I have a little bit of a flu, so bear with me with my voice. But I want to commend you for being what this community has needed for a long time. Good community talk radio, as well as the fact that starting with the Dave Brad Cantor race has been 3 or 4 races that you have had a hand in, I would say, the outcomes. And whatever you do, don't back down. And I hope they do make a movie about this. And I have the perfect actor who will play you. He's an old school actor, Ernie Hudson.
Uh-huh. Oh, man. Larry, you make me smile. You bring smiles to my faces, man. Thank you very much.
You know, what's that song Aaron Neville said? Sometimes you got to tell it like it is. And, you know, I mean, you're going to have at least 3 state Senate seats opened up right here in your listenership. And before it's over with, you're going to have a hand in who fills them.
Thank you very much, Larry. Appreciate it. And get over that cold. Take care of yourself, man.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Let's go to David J. David J., you're on the Jack Gravely Show.
Jack.
Hey.
As you know, every religion has blasphemy laws.
Yes.
Every religion has blasphemy laws. We tend to be very ignorant. That's why, that's part of all this intolerance. You know, what happened in France is terrible. But you remember a few years right here in this country, there was that preacher in Florida who wanted to ban the Holy Quran before the entire world media and the government encouraged him not to do it because he would endanger American soldiers and other American citizens overseas.
Not only was it endangering American soldiers, it was the wrong thing to do. It was stupid. It was an act of a provocative act that was unnecessary. What good do you get out of it? You're going to burn someone else's...
That was his freedom of speech.
Yes, I know it was. But freedom of speech also, as my last caller said, or one of my last callers said, comes responsibility and common sense.
So would you apply the same principles to this paper in France?
Yes.
So
simply because you have the right and the authority, why would you make a picture, put a picture, or a cartoon of a religious figure that you know is going to inflame members of that religious group, that is going to have repercussions? There are other ways you can do that, I would think. I can't think of them right now. But why would you want to do something like that?
And part of those members are fellow countrymen, like these 2 terrorists who got. They were not from another country. They were born and raised in France. And they were offended, and they complained about that, but they continued, you know. So that was, you know, you keep on talking, you keep on saying that you can make fun of the president or your mother. Well, those are not prophets.
Exactly.
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 So.
Okay. Good point. Good point, David. Good point.
Yeah.
Are you in agreement that they should not make fun of the prophet?
No, they shouldn't. I'm not offended because, you know.
And you're a Muslim?
I'm a Muslim, man. I'm strictly. I was born in a very strictly Islamic society in the eastern part of Africa. And I went to madrasas, but I also went to a Baptist school, a high school. My entire 4 years in high school was
a Baptist school, Christian school.
And I did Christian education. I read the Bible. We had studied. I read the Quran in madrasas. So I'm in a good position to say that you don't follow the, you know, it's almost like the cartoonist here read my mind. I've been calling Jim, the other show, you talking about the prophet maybe would come and cry and shed tears on behalf of these lost Muslims here, because he prophesies that you're going to have hypocrites like these radicals here. And he would cry. So, but I would never dare try to write a picture of the prophet with a teardrop, even though that was my indication as I was reacting to this action in France. So I think we need to understand the other people's, especially when it comes to religion. You know, I think that's you're crossing the line, but majority of the Muslims don't support these terrorists. What they did was absolute. They even killed 2 Muslims there. The Ahmed. I would rather be Ahmed trying to defend the right of those people to practice their free speech and offend my religion that if they have the right to say whatever they want to say, even though it's not against the law, but it's offensive. I would rather be that policeman there instead of these two terrorists.
Okay, gotta let that be the last word.
Take care.
All right, David J. Ladies and gentlemen, the Jack Gravely Show. We're coming up on, about 3 minutes? We got about 3 minutes before we got to get out of here today on a Wednesday. We'll be back in the house tomorrow on the Jack Gravely Show. Hope the weather clears up a little bit. We don't know what it's going to be like today. I'm going to ease on down the road. I don't think I'm going back down 95. I'm going down Route 1. And we'll see what the deal is going to be going down the road today. But I-95 was really clear, and I would assume it might be in better condition going back because I saw some salt trucks out there coming. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a discussion here today. We've had a discussion. We're going to continue this discussion. I'm going to bring some religious leaders in, Christians, some Muslims, some Jews, to come in to talk about some of these issues, some scholars, some professors, some practitioners, and you can engage in conversation here on the Jack Gravely Show. You can call at any time, whether you agree or disagree. You don't need to agree with me. And because you are a Republican doesn't make you all bad. And just because you're a Democrat doesn't make you all good. And just because you are a Christian, it doesn't mean that you have not sinned or fallen short. Those of you out there. You know, I'm going to say that's going to be, that's my kick. This thing of all of, the thing that it's almost like they all go to the same meeting and get the same memo. Many of them on the conservative talk shows that all Democrats are bad. All Democrats hate God. All Democrats don't support families. And you can find in anywhere in any state Republicans that do the same thing or worse. Not making all Republicans bad, because all of them are not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Jack Gravely Show. I thoroughly enjoyed being with you today. I learned something today about the Muslim guy who called, who said that they prohibit even you making a picture of Jesus Christ. They don't like all prophets of God. Walk slow. Drink plenty of water. Go.
Glad to wake up in the city that loves me. RVA, yeah, that's where the buzz be. Investing money, we reaching our goals, but be sure to save $1 just to get through the tolls. Southside, positive people, with this one we got them. They gonna play this from Carytown to the bottom. Black people everywhere, Richmond we live. From Wall Street to Broad Street, keep it occupied.
Angelic voices, y'all know what the source is. If life is a game, the haters better forfeit. For the cause of real hip-hop, see we all came together like shoes and socks. To crush negativity, check out delivery. The force that's flowing is positively God impacted. Hence I tracked it, Cotman directed, and Mimi dispatched it. The call for unity.
Making old people well. They're the ones who suffer and who catch all the hell.
The Jack Gravely Show. 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 Gravely Show.